here, Rick.
Okay.
All right, we will open this meeting of October 17th, 2013. Let the record show all selectmen are present. The purpose of this coming in early is budget, so we are going over the selectmen's budget.
I have for you an updated budget I handed out that has just a few caveats to this, but this has what I'm aware that the Budget Committee has approved and what the Selectmen have approved.
Since last night?
The ones from last night as
Oh,
well
good.
as,
Okay.
I think, as well as what you had approved last week. I just haven't had a chance to sit down with Catherine to go through the minutes to look at it, or the movie, either one. But I took from an email from Joyce where she had listed out some of the changes. And I can go through those with you.
I don't remember going over the land use.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
Yeah.
Okay. Boy, I'm
I remember
just
him
not clear
saying
about
there's no
it.
changes.
Okay.
I gotta get my book.
So recycling, parks, park maintenance, old home.
What does VOLP stand for?
Voice over IP.
Okay.
Basically like a cottage.
Now, I know we didn't talk about the pines.
No.
We did not.
Then that's in a recommended.
Okay,
Neither
I'll
did
change
the,
that. Yeah. What she gave me,
budget.
she gave me a list of those outside agencies that you wanted to hear from, and she said all others were approved.
Yeah.
So they could just, so I'll take care of that.
They're on the list to come in.
Yep. So I had to do this in a reverse process of,
Right.
reverse process.
Okay.
I was in the movie, just wait to call you back. No, what's up? Actually, that's an easy question. Absolutely, yes. We do have permission on the nights that we don't use it, just it's used. Yep. Okay, thanks. Okay, bye.
So some of the changes in here are the addition of the Lakes Region, on page 2, Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid at the bottom of the administration, under function code 4299, which is public safety. And that's $32,780.
Where are we?
On page 2,
Page 2.
right before it says total administration.
Yep, I see it.
Oh, that's if we continue to have them dispatch for us.
That's, I presume, yes.
Okay.
The taxes and retirement lines within the administration budget reflect a wage increase, which is now in the town clerk tax collector's budget, and not in the merit line. So where you see the town clerk tax collector's salary line on page 2, that $51,390 includes the recent wage adjustment you made, and then including a 2.5% increase for 2014.
Where did we come up with, can we just backtrack for a second? The 32,000 for the Lakes Region Mutual Aid. Ms.
That was an amount that she emailed me for that.
Okay,
That seems like the number I saw.
31, it's 31,790, 17 plus 989. Okay,
I didn't see the original, so
few cents off.
just going by what she sent me.
It's just that we have, the actual is 32,779.17, but it's just
Okay.
a few dollars.
Right. Yep.
Okay, I get it.
So in any event, hopefully that the salary line is understandable then for the town clerk tax collector. So that 51,390 doesn't represent her current salary. That represents her budgeted 2014
Right.
salary, including in that number a 2.5% increase.
Right.
And all the taxes, retirement, that sort of thing are budgeted within the administration tax and retirement funds. Let's see. In land use, one of the changes that Joyce gave me was that she said the board wanted to add the $2,500 for Silver Lake milfoil to the Conservation Commission's line item. So I increased that from $6,500 to $9,000.
The milfoil goes in the
On the
capital
warrant.
reserve.
Yeah,
Right.
that's in.
That's what I had in the last go-round, but she said that...
No, you had it on,
Oh, no,
you
I-
did not have it. It was put on as an outside agency in the Civil Lake Association, but it's
improvement.
not.
Well, I had it down under Lake Improvement, CR,
Under the
Capital Reserve.
Capital Reserve, and that's where it should be.
That's where it should go.
Yeah, so we need to
We
take
don't
it
want
out
the
of there.
funds to lapse every year.
Right.
Right.
No, but...
No, take it out.
Okay, all right.
That's
Okay, so
interesting.
Put that back to 6,500, because I think I'll have to check with her, I'll email her.
Right,
So-
because we're not going to transfer monies, because it goes by warrant article, am I correct, when they
You have
raise
to
and
have
appropriate
a
the money?
warrant article to
Yep.
put monies into a capital
Right.
reserve fund.
So if you have the warrant article to put monies in there, and you put it in the line item of Conservation Commission, we're transferring monies over. I'm not doing that.
Right. I thought it was, I didn't, if I had been here, I would have advised against it,
Right.
but I wasn't, so
I think that was just a miscommunication, so I...
Yes.
So how much money do we typically raise for the milfoil?
In the past, we've done usually about $1,500.
$1,500 each year.
And there have been several years, at least 2 years, I think, where it wasn't even used, or,
They were saving up for a pontoon boat. They bought the pontoon boat, they outfitted the pontoon boat, they trained a diver, they've got more training, I guess, they bought diving
that's
equipment.
just Silver Lake.
That Silver Lake Association did that,
That's right.
not the Conservation's
The
Capital
reason it-
Reserve. Let's
there
not...
was-
Oh, no, I thought we were on the, sorry.
We are on the milfoil,
The
but
reason the
we're
mill-
this
Different
portion
thing.
of it, right.
The reason the milfoil wasn't used for a couple of years is because Jody Connor, who's now gone, who worked for DES, he was their limologist. They didn't have a really good way of dealing with it. The old way didn't work. They
Right.
made it worse. The harvesting of it, that's why we didn't expend it.
with that 2,500, they'll have a balance of about 11,100
So
capital reserve.
where does this 2,500 come from?
That would be taxation.
No, I mean, where do we come up with that figure?
Yeah, it's
Isn't it
usually 1,500.
I was told 2,500.
No, it's always been.
It's always been 1,500.
I'm just going by
I got
what I
you.
got in the email, so...
Okay.
And so am I looking at this
There was
lake
a-
improvement, right now there's 1,500 in it?
No, there's 11,000.
So those are just warrant articles.
These are warrant articles.
And I had...
That's 2013 warrant articles, 1,500.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure. So somewhere on here I should have it,
I
right?
even noted on here that 2,500 is added to the Conservation Commission budget, so I'll...
So we need to change the 2,500, and we need to put 1,500,
For the warrant.
the warrant, correct.
Page.
Sounds good.
The back is where the lake improvement is.
Right.
All right, I see.
So there's still, at the end of this year, there'll be 8,639.54 in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
And then we'll raise another
rest of it.
15, so that
Find
would,
that line.
okay, so I can erase that whole line that says that.
Yeah.
And I also crossed out the Pines figure there, the 57.5.
yeah, we haven't, that's one we haven't discussed. We,
Right.
Yeah.
right. They haven't been before us yet.
Yep. So let's see, going back to,
So we're taking it out of conservation and putting it
Right.
into the capital reserve.
Conservation will show 6,500 once again, which is what it was, what the budget request was, and 1,500 will be in the warrant article for milfoil.
So we're taking 2,500 out of conservation.
So that would be 6,500 once again.
Where is conservation? What page?
It's on page 4.
Land use, right at the end of land use.
Okay.
6,500.
Yeah, here it is. Okay. So that brings that back down.
So that would have made them smile.
It's, oh, where'd that come from?
What's the new figure, Catherine? What's the new figure on that line?
6,500 for conservation. That's their budget request?
Yes, that's the way I understand it. Apart from that, I've updated all of the expenditures.
Can you tell me what it means next to PD salaries, officer wages, 8% versus, what does it mean by the note that you have there?
8% is really
Including
not part of the
corporals.
note. 8% shows the increase of 2013 over the authorized budget the request of 2013 over the department authorized budget of 2012. So it's just comparing those two. The note and the percent column happen to run a little bit together.
Why would it be so high on officer wages?
A couple of reasons. First of all, we have the corporal budgeted for 3/4 of the year. That's about $65,000 right there. And then we have, we had taken
I know.
budget, right, because, and there is a real possibility that will occur in March, from what I understand. At least there's been communication. But in any event, the other thing is that the 2013 budget was adjusted somewhat to purchase items for the police department this past year because we had excess budget because of personnel changes in the PD. So, if you recall, some of that went to purchase the equipment for the cruisers.
Yep. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah. The other changes that you had discussed with the chief, I had updated in here. Although it does not look right. The legal expense, that was a question, Joyce and I discussed that, and I didn't get a chance to double-check it with the chief. Was that supposed to be 16,000, the legal? Because he had it budgeted at 4, and...
We told him to
said
bring it up.
Bring it up by 6.
Bring it up, it's supposed to be 10.
It should be 10, okay, it is 10.
Because it's going to be approximately 6,000 for Peter, for negotiations, the contract, approximately.
Did they adjust their gas because of the anomaly that occurred with the pump
The gas
being
was-
wrong?
The gas was brought up.
The gas was, I talked to the chief, I talked to Tim, they talked together, and they brought it up.
Yep. It was brought up to the same as 2013, $32,000.
Okay.
This last month, they had an inordinately high fuel use, just because of all the activity and details and everything else that was going on. It doesn't usually exceed $3,000, but it was this last month.
That's because the pump isn't running backwards anymore.
Yeah.
Anita?
Lieutenant, how are you, buddy? Good.
Okay.
All right. The other investigative lines were brought back up too. I believe drug investigation was one that was put back up higher.
Are we at a point, I remember, you can't, probably can't answer it, where's Chief? Remind me to ask him when he gets here. I want to know if we're at a point now where, do you remember when Nate went to polygraph school? Part of the selling point to us was that there's such a demand on polygraphers that the sheriff's department has a backlog and it's weeks to get into it. Therefore, we could do that. However,
Want to rent Nate?
there was
Yeah,
gonna be some
written.
type of charge for
Well,
that.
there would be, it's a detail, isn't it?
No,
No,
No?
not polygraph.
The same rules don't apply? They're
No.
paid a certain amount to go?
He
No?
does do that on occasion.
but they
But
do
do
it
they
as an
charge?
exchange of services.
So is it a mutual aid or is it a charge?
That I
No,
don't know.
it's more like a mutual aid thing.
But
You
I've-
do this for us, and you'll do
When it
this
was
for us
presented
later.
to us, though, they said it was
Yes.
going to be a charge.
That
We
we
could charge to other
We
communities.
could.
Right.
I remember that, but I didn't remember we did.
We,
We were waiting until he got familiar with the equipment and was,
The other thing to consider is, and I'm sure the chief
got a sweet
would
tooth
say
now.
this, is just that the detectives have been so very busy with their own cases that there would probably be very little time to be able to fit something like that in, going out and looking for that kind of work, but that's just my own opinion.
well, I wouldn't look for it, but there are many people that call up and say, hey, and sometimes because they're so busy, that taking somebody off what they're doing and to do a polygraph, we should get some type of reimbursement for it.
If you were buying a nice four-wheel
If we
drive.
We do, but it's intangible. When we need an extra detective, when they need extra equipment, when they need, the chief can call. That, you can't say, yeah, that's worth 2,000, 3,000, we don't know, but that's what we're getting in return.
Well, although I'm always in favor of having a fee schedule which you can override, but if you don't have a fee schedule, you'll never use it.
It was a very expensive adventure. That was over $6,000 that we
Yeah.
paid for this school, and that's without considering his wages lost for 14 weeks. So I just think that we should somehow get some type of, we don't have to do it this year, but I mean, in the future, we should look at that and
Maybe we should ask the chief what the standard procedure is and how he can justify that as opposed to a fee schedule.
Right.
What does that look like in his world? And if we can change it, it might be to our advantage.
Yeah.
Well, financially, anyway.
let's remember when he gets here to bring that up.
Okay. So,
Worth talking about.
So just going back to that salary line for officers' wages, that does include the new officers. So that has everything, plus then, of course, as I said, that corporal. I think that was it.
are we still carrying money in that for the officer that's with the military?
Yes,
Yes, that's what
the 75% is.
corporal.
That's what I wanted to make sure of.
In fact, it's a sizable amount. So,
Where should we be right now?
I say
Percentage-wise.
Bahamas.
Open-ended question.
I could go for the Bahamas, but I'd really like to see Puerto Rico.
I'd love to see Puerto Rico.
What should our percentage
I've only
be?
seen it for a moment.
78%, because we're mid-month,
All
We
right.
just did, I'd have to take into account, the payables we just did. It's a lot easier to figure September 30 would be 75%. But unfortunately, not everything goes evenly through the year in terms of expenditures. Some things do.
Can I ask a question? Salary zoning board, just above the police, 2,100, they haven't used anything, and they're requesting 2,100. Can that be
At the end of the
possible?
year, they get paid.
Those are paid, all those are stipends.
December.
I see. Okay. And I thought it was monthly or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
We could cut out stipends,
Watch the boards go.
you know?
Anybody who does this for the cash,
They have a warped sense of something.
Anyone
Yeah.
that fills in for selectmen for the cash is,
6 cents an hour, or is that high?
oh,
I think that's a little
I'm at a
high.
negative right now because the amount of meetings and places that you go to and just the gas alone, it doesn't cover it.
You know, the
doesn't
chocolate
pay
you
my
buy?
gas.
And the
chocolate.
the chocolate itself isn't very negative.
Yeah, it doesn't pay my gas.
I was going to say, I think
Kudos to the police for quickly finding the culprits to the chocolate factory. Wonderful
Yeah,
job.
I think what we spend in chocolate alone uses up all of our stipends.
Stipends. Together.
Do you have the munchies or what? You were looking for money?
Where are we with recycling and curbside? Are we holding steady from last year's figures? Are we going to adjust anything for the pay-as-you-throw?
Well, it's
Reduction in
interesting. In this
garbage.
In your payables manifest is the first recycling invoice we received, $72.50. I'm expecting that they're going to be providing us with prior invoices for that. We have sufficient funds in the recycling fund account, which is where that was charged to, and we just got another wire notification, although I don't have an amount yet from Waste Zero as to what we're receiving. My personal opinion is, as I've been looking at the tonnage that we're doing, it strikes me that we're still picking up the same amount of tonnage, basically, as we have in past years, except now we're picking up, garbage tonnage and recycling tonnage. And when you really look at it, they probably could be doing one garbage run a week and one recycling run a week. But we're paying almost double for curbside collection. And they hadn't really changed their curbside collection price in, I want to say, probably about 5 years in any appreciable way, which either leads me to believe we're getting a really good deal, or we were paying too much 5 years ago, or
Makes you wonder.
or a little bit of both, or maybe none of each.
Right.
It's just hard to say. I just don't have a very good feel for that, but we've maintained that relationship. They've provided us very good service through Best Way, and we're working out the kinks with Casella now, and I think it's working, but I think that my personal opinion is we might be able to be paying less for what we're doing, because we're really carting out the same amount of stuff, but we're paying almost double to do it. And it's not that they went out and bought a truck to do it. I think they had the truck. I think it's, they're probably learning what our figures are, and I certainly hope that there's an opportunity to renegotiate this, or that when the time does come to renegotiate any of these contracts, that the board imposes a hard and fast process for that will really ensure that we get the best pricing out there.
Right.
After speaking with somebody at Best Way Casella, the very issue that Tim is discussing came up in the conversation. The tonnage is going down for MSW. Pretty much to the point where one truck can hold it all. If that trend continues, because winter garbage goes down anyway, but if the trend continues, the opportunity for them to cut 4, sometimes 5 routes a week would trigger a negotiation scenario. But that's an if, the numbers, but the way it's been going, as long as we hold fast, I'm trying to couch my words. I don't want anybody to think this is a done deal, but
Right.
the possibility exists, definitely.
Is there a lot more to the recycling part? Is that why that costs us more than?
Trucks are more expensive than a jive garbage truck, and you can't compress
Because they are?
them. You can't compress them, see? So it won't hold as much in tons as a truck that you can smoosh everything in. If you compress them, then you can't uncompress them at the single stream plant. You saw what other bids came in,
Oh,
and that was the least expensive one that we could get.
I understand.
There's more back and forth for those same tons.
Yeah, the issue that we're kind of stuck with is that we have the same cost of the solid waste as if it were all solid waste. That's the real problem.
Right.
It's one thing to say we're going to pay for the recycling pickup, but our solid waste, we're still paying the same amount of money as we paid for them.
Absolutely, and we
Around
talked
and pick
about
up
this
100%.
before the warrant article.
Yeah.
The potential for this, but unless we got the thing started,
Right.
we couldn't prove that it was going to work. I
Right.
think it's working.
Yeah.
There's still problems.
Right.
But I think the goal is we're kind of headed toward the goal. I hope the problems work out quick.
So the sanitation lines, what is the 7,200 in recycling for? Is that bags?
Well, no, that's not bags at all. That is, let me just make sure I'm looking at the right spot.
Page 7 of 8.
Yeah, no, that is what we pay for Dennis's,
The dumpsters, C and D,
Yep.
stuff like that, batteries, those kind of items. He recycles all that.
Okay, so
we pay monthly for those.
where is the amount of money we pay for having the recycling picked up on curbside?
It's not in here because it's off budget. It's coming totally out of the recycling revolving fund.
We hope.
We do.
And if it doesn't, we had this conversation. If it doesn't, because we've never done this is the first year, we have high hopes,
That it will.
but I don't want to pin my
Our contract.
butt to high
Our
hopes.
contract says, basically, there's a appropriation clause, a non-appropriation clause. If we don't have the money, we don't have the service.
Right.
Essentially. I suppose that would be the case. If we weren't generating enough revenue or achieving enough savings, generating enough bag revenue.
But that's our contract with them. Town meeting said we will do this. Until town meeting rescinds it, the Board of Selectmen are bound to have recycling picked up curbside.
Right.
So my question is, we don't raise enough money from bags. Where does the money come from to pay the contract to pick it up?
Wasn't there 45,000 put in?
There is.
The warrant
There
article?
is.
For
There is
this?
for half a year.
But half a year, though, next year's going to be the first full
Right.
year, so if it doesn't come up,
Well,
I
you know,
think we need to prepare
I
for
did a lot
that.
of math on this, and I had the bags priced to what I thought we needed to collect to do the contract. But that was $2 a bag, and I'm sure you'll all remember that discussion. So the what if we don't generate enough income thing, I'm just waiting for it.
Well, what you could have.
We
is you
can't
could-
just wait for it, Joe, we have to prepare for it.
what you could
Well,
have-
I tried to prepare for that 3 months ago, and...
That's all redundant. Right now, what we're talking about is if we don't have enough money generated from the sale of bags,
Yeah.
where does the money come from to pay the rest of the contract that we
It would
need?
not come out of here. I would recommend it would be a warrant article.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, I don't see how you could,
It was already a warrant article. If you have a warrant article that says no, then we have to find the money. If they say no on the warrant article, we have to find the money somewhere in our budget
Right.
if it doesn't work out.
Right.
And it does, Joe, I cannot believe that even if we had changed it to $2 versus $1.50, we would still have to have a contingency plan in place if it did not go as planned on the 30%. So you still have to plan, no matter what.
Hey, I was introduced to 8 bags of trash today that I know will not go into purple bags
But
and will
you
not
say-
be
wait a minute,
disposed
wait a
of in
minute, wait a
town. And this family regularly does not dispose of their trash in town. So there's a whole
Tonnage.
there is a whole family that's not buying the purple bags, and I'm sure there's more. So the point is, this budget is tight.
Yes.
So if we've got to come up with another 30, 40, 25,000, then we need to put it in
Where's it
here.
gonna come from?
Yeah, we need to put it in here.
Well,
What line can you put
So
in?
should it go into curbside contract?
We cannot use it, but we have to have some type of safeguard, knowing full well that there's a possibility. I wouldn't take the chance.
well, you'd be looking at, what is it, 7,250?
Because when we're sitting there in March, if we have more figures that shows, as we get into it, that, okay, maybe this is going to work, or if there's a petitioned article to even get rid of it, we can make a motion to remove it.
Right.
Well, and it could be that, there is some type of thing like that, or just to keep recycling but do away with the bag sales, or some other means by which we wouldn't
Who knows
revenue,
what
but we'd have savings. that
somebody might come up with.
reorganize it. But it's $87,000 if you're looking at what it's going to cost us over the course of a full year.
Right.
So do you budget 50,000? I think we need a little more data on the bag sales, and this will be the second, the
We should
report.
budget at least 40.
I should get a report tomorrow.
I was thinking, 30,
As
40.
I mentioned, I just got the wire notification, so usually the next day is when I get a report that says how much the wire is and what all the, the components of the bag sales
So can
is.
we address this next week when you have that information?
Certainly, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Okey-doke. All right. Do we want to take these by groups and vote on them, or do you want to take the entire and vote on them
What are you talking about?
for the pieces out of the selectmen budget? Take Public Works separately, PD separately.
Well, I think we've got some holes in it, don't we?
PD.
Are all the health and insurance, the retiree, the life disability, is that all in now?
No, we don't. We don't have the health rates.
Okay.
We're waiting on still the workers' comp and property liability. Don't have that either.
Compensation, liabilities not in?
Highway is probably the cleanest. In terms of having, with the exception possibly of the recycling.
Well, we could vote on it now and adjust it later.
Well, we still have some other ones in the back there for Health and Human Services.
And use of paper.
Yeah, Health and Human Services should be too.
Yeah.
Is there something, the only one, Hall Memorial and Child and Family Student Community Action visiting Genesis. In the Pines. Oh, and we have to vote on the summer concert.
Right.
The Budget Committee voted last night.
Right, you can see the ones on the far right column. Those represent the Budget Committee's approved numbers. They also approved Old Home Day, I believe,
Yep, they did.
on the prior page.
May we help you?
Yeah, previously
Okay. Okey-doke.
And
You're busy today.
I do see, there's an error on the bottom of page 3 and top of page 4. Somehow those selected figures carried over into the budget committee, but those haven't been obviously looked at.
Yep.
Bottom of
I
three.
was juggling 5 different things when I was getting this together. You had a short week and
Okay,
too much.
we understand. We all have one of those weeks.
Okay, so we still have to meet with Dennis on his budget.
Oh, you haven't,
I don't think we've met, we went over it a little bit
Yeah, I was just,
with it, but
Yeah.
there's wages and things that he wanted to talk with us when we got the figures in for the,
right, for the retirements and
Right.
stuff, yeah.
so that's not completely. I'll make a motion that we fund the Island Concert 2,000. That's one of the ones we can do.
Second,
Isn't there some kind of a conversation about finding out what they spent their money on more
Yeah,
specifically?
it came in, and the Budget
in.
Committee voted to approve it last night. Do you have the new
They
one?
got the I didn't get any
Yeah.
new information.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, it was, it was much more
You
detailed.
were satisfied, Kathy?
Oh, it was much more detailed.
Okay.
Pass that down to Joe. That's an extra copy.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for the Island Concert Series for $2,000. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
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 That's unanimous. Let's see. Is there any more that we can go in here and...
Were you in agreement with the ones that are listed there? Park Cemetery, Lakes Region Planning,
Yes.
Assistance, Franklin Visiting Nurses, Animal Control, New Hampshire Association of Blind, CASA, and Red Cross?
CASA we voted on. Red Cross we didn't vote on. I thought we did vote on Red Cross last time.
No,
Okay.
just when they were gonna bring them in.
So that one you had not?
No, I don't think so. I think we were waiting to
Not
hear from
vote
Heather.
on- I could have sworn we voted on Red Cross.
Did we?
Yeah, you did.
Okay then, never mind.
So that's okay.
Yep.
We were talking about Red Cross.
Yeah. And the blind we did.
Yep.
New Beginnings,
Yep.
do you want them to come in, or did we vote on that?
Well, we didn't vote on New Beginnings. You
Okay.
said that you'd put it off
Oh, that's right, because you,
and think
that's...
about
You're
the
right,
concerns that I'd raised.
right,
if
because
you
they're
wanna-
coming in. No, they're coming
Are
into
they?
budget.
Yep.
I'd much rather hear,
I'd still like to hear from them, but go ahead and vote. I know how it's going to go, and I don't even disagree with it. But it is what it is. If you guys know what you want to do, just because I object, there's no reason to vote.
New Beginnings is coming into the Budget Committee on 11/20.
If you're willing to wait, I'm okay with that, too.
Okay. Well, that way too, you can be there so you can get your questions.
Oh, I'm going to be there.
did they vote Home Memorial last night?
No.
Are there any that they voted and we haven't yet?
No, there's more that
Just
you
the
have
island.
voted that they have not.
Okay. All right, did you take a look at the,
Do you want to approve the town clerk tax collector?
now, Election preparation is separate from the registrars, so, okay. I'm fine with, I'll make a motion to accept the town clerk tax collector budget as proposed, $108,907.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
I'm uneasy with this.
What is, the
Uneasy with what?
Go ahead, Al.
Go ahead.
4%?
It's 4% over last year.
Yeah, the,
Should be 5%.
well, the way it rounds,
It comes out
it's
to
just
that.
a rounding thing. That won't be in a final report. I wouldn't have room for it. But that number reflects 2.5%.
From this year.
2014. Well, right, the
Right.
action that you just took this year, 2.5%.
Plus next year.
And plus, I believe it worked out to be $630 for next year, which was 2.5%.
And the budget for the deputy is increased 1%.
That is, that's based off of, the salary information.
Her merit raise is
Would
in
be
the
in the-
merit pool.
That's right, so it would be in addition to that 1%.
So this right here that you see 1% is sort of like a rounding issue as well.
But that includes her 2.5%
No, it does
potential
not.
merit pool raise?
No,
That
that's in
goes
the
into another pool.
administrative merit pool line.
That's on the first page, up here.
The only one that's not in the merit pool would be...
The town clerk.
The town clerk.
By law, it has to
So
be in the line
every
item.
employee that gets an increase on our line here, then also gets 2.5%, in effect gets 3.5% or...
Nobody's getting an increase.
I'm just asking.
I know, but we're not, by law, the only one we have to put on the increase for the townspeople to vote on is the town clerk tax collector. If you're looking at those little percentages on the end there, we have not put in raises for any employee. All, as a wage adjustment, all employees' increases are in a merit wage pool, and that is represented by the $5,553 on the first page, merit raise pool town hall.
And then there's one for highway in the highway department, and then one for PD for the lieutenants and the chief.
What you see with the like 1% or minus 1%, or,
Those are rounded.
those are rounding issues in the system. That's not a
So it's
raise.
greater than, it's still an increase. It has to be an increase or it would be zero.
Right.
All right, plus whatever merit increase they might acquire during their evaluations and that time of year. Is that correct? That's all I'm asking.
No,
Tim, isn't that the way that will work?
no, a wage is a wage.
We budget $30,000 for a position.
Yes.
That's an increase of $750
Okay,
from the prior year.
right?
All right, it's a 1%. It's a rounding issue. But then, if they get a 2.5% merit raise increase, that would be, in effect, 3%, 3.25% increase in their wages over the previous year. That's all I'm trying to ascertain.
But you can't, I think you're talking two different things here. You think you're talking two different, I'm trying to understand you, I think you're talking two different things. Merit increase for our employees, or any type of increase, is going into the merit raise pool. There are no wage adjustments, increases that we're giving out to anyone based on an increase in their wage ahead of time.
Right.
And then they would get another merit increase in June. There's nobody that's affected like that. Nobody.
I think what he's trying to say is, why is the 1% there?
Why is there 1% there? Is that the increase over last year's budgeted amount?
Microsoft Excel rounding.
Well, part of it is because...
Should be zero.
Because the increase is going in July. So if you look at the wage from July to the end of the year, I think that's probably...
That's the 1%?
That's gonna-
Rounded?
That, over the course of a full year, would probably account for that, yes. Now, the other interesting issue that came up with the town clerk tax collector's salary is that with that being in here as a full year budgeted figure, it doesn't have anything to do then with July.
That's correct.
So then, presumably, that would be, once it's approved at town
Town
meeting, it
meeting.
would be retroactive to
January.
January.
Right.
So her increase, her wage adjustment, or her wage, I should say, because it's just the approved wage, would then be spread out over the entire year.
Right.
So...
Does that make
which is a
sense
little
to you?
different.
That makes more sense than just having a 1% there. I get it now.
Okay.
I can work with that.
All right. So we have a motion on the table for the $108,907 for the town clerk tax collector budget. Any other discussion? All those in favor of recommending the town clerk tax collector budget for $108,907, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So that's approved. Okay. There's lots of things to talk about in the IT, there's lots of things to talk about finance. We can't do anything with, until we get the workman's comp, health issues to, any one of those other ones. We've kind of scrutinized.
The police budget had been revised and corrected as we discussed with the chief. If you want to look at that, postpone that for another time.
Do we have a detail of the IT budget?
Yes, I gave you on the 26th.
I have too much budget stuff.
I think I have 8 minutes left. Maybe I should come back and talk to you about that.
What's
We
that?
have more time.
The IT budget.
The IT budget.
Oh, yeah, because that's gonna, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to describe how that voice over IP would work.
Right, exactly. I think we should allot some time to that.
Yep.
And I was hoping before I left seeing you all today that I would have an opportunity to review just the few things I had on my sheet for this week. I don't know if now would take this time to do that. I can find it now. That's it. What did I do now? Should have it here. There it is. That be all right with you? So, for our tax rate setting, we need to receive have the management representation letter with the audit signed, and I'm sure there's going to be a few questions about the audit, and I'll be happy to sit down with anyone, to review those questions. But prior to our being able to set the tax rate, we have to provide that back to our auditor and then send that along. I don't know if you want to try to do that now or do that at a separate time. The other items I had, the chief and I are working on this plan for Everbridge as to who can send out notifications, what type of notifications they'll be, who'll be authorized to do what within the system. And we're going through an orientation right now that's several weeks in length. And hopefully we should have this going, I would hope by Thanksgiving. I think that's a realistic time frame. And what I'll do is prepare for you a high-level view of what that's going to look like to get your blessing in terms of the authorizations, because you don't want just anybody being able to get in there and, you know, alert the town that there's donuts at Town Hall. You know? So, which could happen.
Only once.
Right. Very true. Third item, it relates to our ability now to edit the audio. And what I would like to know from the board is who would like to review the edits that Joyce and I have selected, and those differ in terms of the content. I was looking at it for one thing, which is in my report, and Joyce was looking at it a little more broadly, which was probably the more correct way to do it. I just wasn't aware at the time. So I have that listing, and I can go ahead and do the work. I just don't want to do it and then have to do it again 2 other times after the fact, so.
I think the chief should review it.
Yeah.
I think it should be at least one selectman with the chief, but that's my opinion. I don't mind looking at it. We have to be certain and
Yes, we do.
no information gets out. I don't mind sitting and viewing it with the chief if that's what people want.
Is that the consensus thing?
Yeah.
The chief and Selectman Constantine?
Is that all right?
Okay, and then I take it then the determination, the chief would have input as to item A on there.
I don't have a list from you, Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, here.
I got another one.
Oh, okay, I got it. Come on, I got
Now I
it.
got them coming out. Yeah, everywhere.
All right. That's what I was flipping through pages for.
Want to let you know that our cash position
Just
is
increased.
good. So I almost wrote great, but it's good, and we should be able to bridge until the tax bills are out. The only reason why I say good is that oftentimes it's not good, and it is such a precarious kind of tightrope walk, but it actually looks like it's manageable this year. So I feel very
What kind of tan do we hold now?
$1 million.
It'd be good if we don't have to borrow. Definitely.
Yep, and in fact, adding to our benefit, you'd probably, I'm sure Catherine has either put in your folders about the landfill repayment. We received our first payment from the state, from DES for the landfill.
Really?
$22,000, yep.
Outstanding.
And we will receive annual payments every July for that amount of money.
They're paying us interest?
They are paying us interest, and at the 5th year, we will actually be able to take the remainder of that that's not owed by the fund to the general fund, because that was all done in a separate fund. We'll be able to take that as miscellaneous revenue
Nice.
in that year, so that's a good thing.
It took X number of years to happen.
Right, yeah. And I think one of the most interesting things is in the audit, there's a breakdown of where our sources of revenue are, and the state only accounts for 3% of our revenue. So we really are not very dependent upon the state.
Right.
And yet, when we've entered into agreements with the state, sometimes we have gotten repaid and sometimes we've had to wait. So, but this was a really good thing. This has been a long time coming, so that's excellent. So then I guess the only other thing, just getting back to the audit review and just making sure I understand what kind of time frame we're looking at, because we could potentially, I think this is the only thing holding us up from having everything into DRA for the tax rate setting.
Okay.
So I don't know how you'd like to do it, if you'd like me to answer questions now, or I know, Catherine, you have some questions, if you'd prefer to sit down and individually, or...
Either way. Works for me.
I don't see, is Heather here?
Nope.
Not yet.
Okay,
Did they take a shot at it?
I need another copy of your IT budget.
You know, Catherine,
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for mine too, so I don't have it. I've looked everywhere for it.
I
You
just-
should be here.
Yeah,
That's where I put all the others that we got last week.
These really are probably pretty simple questions, but, and I might have found some of them if I chose to add them up. So I'm on page 23.
23.
How about if we get them to just change a couple words in the letter they write? I mean, it's always the same.
Well, the good news is that, the audit was clean, that there were no adverse findings, and
Yes,
That's
but
always a
thanks
good
to
thing.
you, we've had that for a couple of years now.
that's always a good
We've gotten
thing.
past 2007, 2008.
But during the year, there are times, there are lots of decisions that have to be made from time to time that sometimes I have to consult with them, and it's, there's always that potential that you want to guard against. But in any event, on page 23, you said,
What are non-major funds and other purposes?
where am I looking?
Bottom of the page, net position.
So what you're looking at is our balance sheet view government-wide. So that is, that's essentially, it's a way of looking at our fund balances in a financial statement view. It's really tough to explain because in there are a number of net capital items. This is meant to look like a balance sheet, assets, liabilities, and then what the worth of the town is.
Okay, because my next question was going to be, how do you derive to them? I mean, how do you pull them out of everything? So,
It's actually very complicated. That particular one is extremely complicated.
so maybe that's a conversation for another time?
I can step you through it as best I can. Probably the best view, if you wanted to see fund balance type information, I mean, you see there where we have the unrestricted funds of almost 700,000.
That was my next question.
But our general fund balance, our unassigned general fund balance, which is different, is a little over $1 million, and you can see that on page 51. The caution here is how you view the different components of fund balance, but there you'll see the general fund and non-major funds. And keep in mind that we also have in our audited financials, we contain the trustees of the trust funds, the sewer commission's funds, all these are under our umbrella as the town of Tilton. But you'll see there the balance of our special duty revolving fund. Common trust funds are the scholarship funds. You see the conservation funds, sewer,
Okay.
endowment. So the difference is all financial statements, municipal financial statements, have basically a business view, a balance sheet, an income statement, and then have a governmental funds view, which is the way it was historically always done. And when this, it was GASB 54 came out or GASB 34 first, that kind of created this organization of looking at them so that business people could look at the town and say, oh, these are the assets, these are the liabilities, this is what it's worth. But then you still had the fund view, which segregated different funds for different purposes. And then also with the fund view, there were always these government-wide views that said, looking at all our funds together, this is how it looks. But there's a different accounting basis used for the financial statements, which is modified accrual versus the government-wide statements, or government fund statements. So it's complicated, but it's meant to provide lots of information to make it easier to govern.
I just couldn't find another place in here that was titled non-major funds.
Yeah,
I can
there
see
is-
that
there
now
is a,
adds up.
Yeah, actually, there is a schedule that shows, I just have to find them here. If you go to page
But that's
60, page 60 and 61 are the non-major funds, governmental funds. And you'll see where the fund balance
But
is
it's
end of
not
year.
titled. Oh, there it is,
Yeah,
over
it's-
there.
yep.
I was looking to the left. That's my fault.
Yeah, no, if you go to the right-hand side, down at the bottom, you'll see the 1.13 million in non-major governmental funds.
But page 24,
Page 20.
health, expenses, 120,901. Is that a total of the outside agencies that are connected to health? Is that all of what we pay for health? Is that how you derive it, that?
To be sure, I'd have to double-check, but no, I don't believe that is. I believe that's...
Isn't that what we pay?
I believe that is...
We pay for health insurance, isn't it?
Safety...
I don't know.
No.
That's my question.
No, that would be, I believe this is the,
Insurance?
no, no. Some of these are health-oriented items. These are based off of the state's function codes for health, which we look at it a little differently.
So
in our
whatever
budget.
in the line item that's
I could give you a listing, I'd have to go down and pull it out, but I have checked these figures.
Culture and recreation,
Yep, that's,
same thing?
yep.
So you pull them out by the DRA
function
function code.
Because on page 27,
Look at this.
so
But again,
that's
you're
an
looking-
expense. And I'm just,
This is real, what this is trying to show you, this is the program cost, the expense, this is the revenue that goes against it, and this is the net
Yep.
expense for those areas. Page 27?
it says culture and recreational, this one says $215.90, but it says expenditures. So, it's still an expense, I'm wondering why the figure is different.
Because these are changes in fund balances, how they affected the fund balance versus the actual activity. It's a difference of the money going out.
Governmental funds, wow.
Yeah, it's two different things, essentially.
Okay, well, those are similar to the questions I have throughout the thing, so they're not, it's just me being curious.
Sure.
I wondered why they didn't jive.
Right, we have,
And for God's sakes, I'm so
Heather,
grateful for you for doing this, because
I can,
I'll tell you what,
It's I mean, they're meant to be useful for, really, the people that get the most out of these are the banks.
this is not easy reading.
No, it's not.
But it's meant for financial statement users.
It's meant for
I've been through it
accountants.
ad nauseum. Joyce has been through it. I went through all her questions. I think it's actually a very good audit.
Yep.
We're in much better financial shape, and I have been planning, as I've told you in the past, I've been planning towards the balloon payment, and may make a recommendation to where we start to set aside some fund balance for that purpose, so that when we get to that point, we have some already, even though it's all still there, it's just sort of listed separately. The other thing I'll mention to you, that in the MS4, and I think I told you when I presented the MS4, there's a potential opportunity when we see the numbers from the fire district, school, and county, which we know the counties, that we may have the opportunity to adjust the warrant article that we had for highway, that we may not have to take that money out of the capital reserve, so, which would be additional revenue. If we need it, we can take it.
yeah,
So that would be a good thing, too. And I did learn that, that the ratios for the fire district have changed in our favor, but they're not official yet. So
Okay.
we should see a reduction in our percentage because of the anomaly where we've been on the receiving end of that equalization percentage in prior years. We're now on the benefiting end this year. So, and it looks quite good. So, okay?
Thank you.
Few percent or a lot of percents?
It's about a 10% reduction for us. In the percentage, that's not necessarily in what we're going to pay
Right.
Yep.
because of their budget.
That's a good thing. That's considerable.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
All right.
All right, appreciate your
I have just one small question, it's just curiosity.
Close.
You were close. Why does the Winnisquam Regional School Scholarship Trust Funds have anything to do with our audit? Why are
Because
they in there?
Because they legally have to fall underneath the trustees of the trust funds,
For Tilton? I mean, why not Northfield?
because I think the location perhaps.
Okay.
But in fact, there is one thing I'll be bringing to you. The city of Franklin was notified by a bank who was holding a small scholarship fund that is to benefit both Tilton and Franklin. So the bank doesn't want to hold it any longer. It's not a very large amount of money. So we'll probably be doing, once I get a hold of the trustees, we'll be doing an agreement with the city of Franklin, get it blessed by the Secretary of State's office, and have that split. And then the trustees would accept half, and Franklin would accept half. But that'll just be coming probably in the next month or so.
It's times like these that really make me appreciate the work you do.
Me too.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Hallelujah.
Can you imagine? Before finance officer, when selectmen had to do that stuff? I'd run screaming from the building.
I think the rest of us will be right behind you.
It'd be a race.
Yes.
You're definitely a whiz.
Be interesting when it comes down to getting through the doorway.
Every man for himself, or
Yes.
woman.
Tim, I got your...
So this is the updated one. Put the date on it, October 17th, that's close enough. Before we jump into the next thing, huh? Thank you. I'm gonna make the health officer.
Okay, next on our list is Heather, and this is a request for non-public. We've also invited members of our budget committee who's going through the same process as well. So I will go into 91A:3. And I will set it as... The reputation adversely affecting the other. I think it's C.
Too much chocolate, dude.
Second that?
Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if Johanna wants to say that.
You have to.
I'm pushing everybody
All right.
along here. We have a
You got my other email, right? About that other issue?
Yes, I did.
You'll talk about it now.
Yes.
Need a motion to seal those minutes?
Make a motion to seal minutes in a non-public session as they permanently.
Permanently. Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Find that email that she sent.
You're talking about our fellow,
Yep.
okay. Yeah, that's quite,
Did you see the response from LGC?
I said do. I said sue,
Sorry for the delay.
sue, sue, sue.
What happened?
Right up here. Come on up here. Set.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
How are you doing?
Great.
Mike, how are you? Good, all right. All right.
So you're waiting for, oh, waiting for us.
How's things going?
Things are going well, thank you for asking. So Mike, do you want to begin?
Sure. Do we
Since
want to
you
wait for,
start-
you want me to wait for Sandy, or?
Come on.
Okay.
Should be here in a second.
I mean, we thought that this would be a good opportunity to come around and meet with the selectmen from 3 different towns. I know, we had touched base on the sidewalk, and we thought we'd give you an update of what's going on with our budget as you guys enter your budget season. Give you an idea of what's going on our end, mostly financial, so that we can all plan moving forward. So I don't think we plan on taking too much of your time, but...
I absolutely do. There you go.
Thank you.
What I just passed out to you shows an estimated, we're in our budget cycle right now, and we're building our budget, and what our business administrator, Shel Soma, did for the board is to give them, prior to us building our budget, some of the expenses that we already know, so that we have an idea about what, for example, our debt service, what some of our new hires, the merit increases that the board has already supported, and just some of these costs. And of course, our health and dental insurance costs, that's an estimation because we won't get those until I think it's like tomorrow or next week. And so it gives the board an idea about where we're at with our budget and before we built it, and that we're at a 1.35 on these particular gibbons already before we build. So you can just kind of see where that puts us. The second page here that we have just kind of gives an overview of our total voted appropriations, and it just shows where we're at, where we've been the last 5 years, just so that you can see in our food service, our special revenue grants, how that's been kind of going up and down just a little bit, and what our debt service principal is, and our debt service interest, and in a couple years, we hope to have that paid off. And that'll be a nice burden off of our budget a little bit, so that's been great. And it just shows you what the net operating budget's been over the last 5 years, as you can see, and the increases.
It also gives you an idea at the bottom of what our fund balance has been over the last 5 years. So you can see that it's gone from like 616 to 330 for 12-13.
Actually, I think last year's final, well, we don't have, yeah. And the third page basically shows our Honeywell cumulative results. And basically what this shows is what our savings has been. And they just reported to our board, and this last year we saved $33,368. And the year before that, it was around 141,630 on our energy, what our energy guarantee was, and we actually saved $174,998. So we have been doing quite a bit of savings in that particular area. And our capital improvement committee has been meeting, and I don't have a handout for that. And this next year, what we mostly that was on the capital improvement projects was to continue with some of the upgrades with some of the safety areas, which the board approved quite a bit this year for our schools. And what we're looking at doing is potentially, we just received a grant for about $50,000, and what we're looking at doing is what some of those items that are on the capital improvement for next year is trying to do some of it this year with that grant, and moving Southwick's roof up into net for next year is what we're going to try to do. That committee hasn't completed all of their data collection and what they're doing, but that's about where they're at now as well. And in the larger picture, we have a long-range planning committee that's looking also at our buildings and about usage and about whether or not that we would want to be considering any kind of consolidation, and we have a lot looking, a lot of different factors that we're looking at for that particular area with the consolidation, if that would even happen or not. But that's going to be a 2-year long process, because I think it needs to be really thorough, not just doing a year and then jumping into something, so.
How old is the high school now? That's the oldest, right, the high school? Or is it the middle school that's the oldest?
High school, part of the high school.
Yeah,
The original building.
the original building, yeah.
I'm not sure how old it is.
Pretty old.
My uncle
It
graduated
was old
from
when
it.
I was there in 1968.
Yeah,
It
Gotta
was
be,
old
gotta be
1968, wow.
when I
30s?
first went there. No, 67.
Well, wait a minute, what's the,
Outstanding.
Late 30s?
All right,
The
I was
original
in
building is late
I'm
30s.
trying to think
ninth
of,
grade.
the Mighty
if
Mule.
Nina was here, oh my goodness, she'd say, yeah, the
Oh, she,
35 wing, or the, that one.
I can get the answer to that question.
It's not really important, I was just kind of getting a grasp for,
It's been, even that old part's had a lot of renovation work, where the library sets used to be the gymnasium.
Right.
So they've done a lot of work there, and there's been, I walk in that building, and I would hardly recognize it 40-some-odd years later.
We did a lot of door replacement in that wing this year, too.
Right, the whole west wing.
Restrooms.
Yeah.
you see the old, mainly in some of the classrooms.
The only other thing that I definitely want to point out is that this year we are negotiating with all three of our groups. We're negotiating with our teachers' union, our custodial team, and our paraprofessionals. So we've got three.
we're negotiating with our police this year, so that there may be a change in the SRO. So depending on where we're at with wages, so that's coming up. We're starting negotiations in a few weeks.
Good to know.
Yeah, we were anticipating that as we put his salary and budget into him.
I don't think that there's any other change other than a salary and what would surround the salary numbers.
School's good with the SRO program,
Absolutely, absolutely. Bill
and the
Patton.
officers that have filled that role are
Absolutely. Bill
the right
Patton's
ones?
he's doing a great job for us. He does really well with the kids, and can't say enough good things about him.
He is marvelous.
He is just great.
Is it working?
Yes, yes, his presence, I think, certainly, his presence and his relationships with the kids is really important. I think it has quite a bit of an impact.
He's pretty involved with extracurricular
He
activities
is.
as well.
He is.
Isn't he a coach?
Yep.
One of the
Yes.
sport,
I believe it.
Yes. I can't remember which sport.
Wrestling?
Which sport it is. I think it is wrestling.
my understanding is he's able to diffuse a lot of issues as well,
He does.
probably because of the
Bill?
relationship you spoke
Relationships,
about.
that's why it's so important.
Yeah,
Football
Football?
it's football.
and wrestling, I believe.
Okay.
Well, that's really good to hear, so.
So I think the data is pretty much showing that we have saved in quite a few areas, and we're keeping it pretty tight. 3 contracts, though, like you said, coming up.
What's happening with, what did that end up for an expense for the eradication issue?
That came up, I think, to about 202,000, approximately, at this point. And we have a building engineer that will be looking into the slabs and doing a little bit more. That was part of what we were going to do, and there'll be a report to the board on that. So we're working on that next step.
My understanding is that they have a newest thing in education, Common Core. Is Winnisquam Regional High School going to, or Winnisquam Regional School District, going to be changing to the Common Core curriculum?
Yes.
What does that cost us?
Well, we did a cost of some of the programming that we do anyway, but I did put something together, and I think approximately it was around 179,000. But some of that is what we would be doing anyway, in terms of some of our assessment, but With that comes certain curriculum that you have to be teaching, resources to be teaching.
Books, whatever, right, instructional people.
Right, and some of those books we'd be purchasing anyway.
Is the $179,000 that we're going to spend to change to the Common Core worth it? What's the difference between kneecap, which we've hung our diploma on, and Common Core? What is the advantages of going to Common Core?
Well, kneecap is the actual assessment, and so to do apples and apples, the assessment that Common Core will be assessed by in terms of our implementation is called Smarter Balance. And that is going to be a computer-generated assessment, and so there's been a cost for us as far as making sure that we have the computers for our students to be able to take those tests and not have any bandwidth issues, not have any technical areas. The differences between the tests is that the Smarter Balance test is going to be more project-based, experiential-based. It will still have like some of your multiple choice, but it will have probably more multi-step problems and more application to the real world for students to think through, and that's probably some of the highlighted differences with Smarter Balanced. And
So students, in theory, once they've graduated from there, can make change?
well,
They can't now. I've run into it. High school graduates from that school who, if you give them $1.01 for a 96-cent purchase, they're done. They don't know that you don't want 4 pennies, you want a nickel. So is that what we're hitting on here, more real-world things that...
trying to make stronger connections to what students are learning, to how they're going to be applying it into the real world, instead of giving them just some of the basic information. And I know what you're talking about, making change is just basic information, but it's also taking that basic information and then applying it.
It's math and critical thinking at the same time.
Correct.
Well, as you know, I wasn't very satisfied with the previous assessments that we had. Is there a potential for graduates who are better ready to be adults and functioning members of society? Reading, math, a little bit of background history, science? Is there?
That's
you
what
think?
Common Core, that is part of the design of Common Core, is to basically get a better scaffolding, and what I mean by that is from grade level to grade level, that the content that students are learning, that there's not a gap in that content, and there's not a gap in the thinking, and what they're trying to do is make it much more cohesive, so that there aren't those kind of gaps that you're talking about that happen. And for that to happen is not only the assessment, what we need to do is have a better predictor of formative assessment. And what I mean by that is having an assessment that they take every 2 to 3 weeks, which then tells us whether they're meeting some of the things that you're talking about, and then for us to regroup those students and work with them so that we're making sure that they're mastering that. And then that's going to give us a better predictor for how they're going to do and the kind of growth that they're learning before they get to the summative, which is a Smarter Balance. And so that's what we're looking for to get better at, is to get also an assessment that gives us better predictability, and so that we can get better at being able to identify the areas to close those particular learning gaps.
And if I can add, we've started the strategic planning process at the board level, and looking at our goals and what's important to the board as it starts to disseminate amongst the teachers and the individual schools. But one of the things that I'd say the board has identified as a weakness is tracking student success after high school.
Is it working? That kind
Not
of
anything we've done.
We're doing that right now, actually. there is this clearinghouse, and we have just purchased that, and what happens is we input our data, and what it does is it starts tracking those particular students for us, because it's really difficult to track students who have graduated from college, 4 years of college, and where they're at, or if they're in their third year. So that's what we're trying to do now, and there's a program that's helping to support us, so that in the strategic plan process, maybe we'll have some of that data that'll help give us more information as we design the strategic plan.
This new testing, there's new technological requirements. I seem to recall an issue with resolution in the screens and not being able to take the test properly because the notebooks, screen wasn't big enough or something, cost us a couple $100,000 or something. Is that in your plan to make sure that we have the proper technology entering into this? Or do you have a long-range plan to account for that? We know this is coming and that kind of thing.
Smarter Balance does have minimum computer spec requirements in order to, so that you, when the kids are taking the test, you can say that it wasn't a technological failure. And we've already started making purchases in preparation for that. I'm not certain if it's complete, but we've invested, most of that, I would say, most of that $179,000 is...
Correct. What we did was last year, we had a 2-year plan just for this. We have our 5-year technology plan, but what we did was we assessed what we were going to need, and so we purchased some of that last year, and we have the second part of that purchase this year. And the other part of that plays into a piece of this, but it's just because we're increasing more with technology, is that we have in our budget this year is Fairpoint to do better with our bandwidth. Because the more technology that we're bringing into the school, the more iPads, all of that, the bandwidth, it's just not enough. And so that's going to be a larger budget item that we've built in. I put it in the budget last year, but to keep us where we needed to be, I took it out. But I told the board it's coming.
So do you have fiber over there now?
Do you what?
Have
Fiber.
Do you have fiber optics over there yet?
We do, but it's not, I don't think, the way that our technology director feels that it should be, and that's why he's put this in here for Fairpoint, and that's because we are...
There was also a push at the board level several years ago while we were budgeting to cut those costs.
Correct.
And there were some major changes made to the way in which internet service is provided to the district. And we made the change to Fairpoint, right?
No, MetroCast.
MetroCast, sorry.
MetroCast.
Instead of having our own dedicated lines. But I think now through the research and as things are changing and unfolding, we're realizing that that may not have necessarily been a good choice.
New Hampshire Fast Roads, I think, is the program that's laying the fiber optic trunk cable right up Route 93. Part of that deal is supposed to be the schools along the trunk, and the police departments and whatever are supposed to be able to tap it.
We have a lot of our own dedicated T1 lines, but we took them offline.
Correct.
Really? The T1 lines are the ones that save the money, particularly with fiber optics, because
It was more expensive than MetroCast.
it is more expensive than MetroCast, but MetroCast is not going to meet that capacity of bandwidth that you need to do that. Therefore, a T1, T2, and T3 would probably be the way you would go on that level if you were to increase the bandwidth there. You would not only have your phone service, your internet service, and your voice over IP if you ever went into that at a later time, which would be less inexpensive and pay for itself in the long run than to have it
Agreed.
through MetroCast that goes up 10% every year.
Agreed, but 3 or 4 years ago, and that was our long-range
Catherine
plan.
on that one.
It was cut from our budget. It was cut, and so now, this is what we're putting in, and we're going to go pretty strong with it. That's what we need to do. It was cut.
Can only cut
But I
it
think
out
with
so
the
long,
communication-
you gotta have it.
Right, because
You're gonna have
I think that this is the tools, the more effective tools that you have that increase efficiency and and the ability to communicate are where the money is, in my opinion, that's where the money needs to be spent. And, I have a passion for that. I've been 30 years in a communications company, so if you have the technology, utilize it. If you don't have the technology, then you're scrambling and piecemealing it and Band-Aiding it. And that is very costly.
That's exactly what happened.
If we look back at what's gone on in, I don't know, how many years have we had? 5 years, maybe the last 5 years, there's been a real big push on cutting our budget, trimming it and trimming it and trimming it. And so, over the last 5 years, I think we've done a tremendous job in doing that, but we've given up some things to make it happen. And part of the reason why we're here today and trying to go, from town to town is I think we've trimmed about as much as we can. And so we're going to start to see some increases as the cost of doing business goes up. And we figure if the more people we can inform and let know, what's going on, the better we'll all be off.
Not only that, but the school district spends $23 million. If it takes 24 to get it right, raise my taxes. I'm looking for results. I object to spending $23 million and not getting results. That's kind of my issue. I do have one general question for my own education here. The whole purpose of taking the kneecap test, being a part of that program, or the Common Core, part of that program, why do we bother with that? What is the consequence of not being in either one of those kind of programs?
I've come from other states and other school districts, and every state that I've been in, they change their standards every so often. Why? Because what's going on with education, just like with what's going on with technology. If technology standards weren't changed to keep up with technology or with what was going on, then we wouldn't be preparing our students very well. And that's really kind of what's going on with the standards is New Hampshire standards have been here quite a long time. And I think that what happens is as they look at the standards and get them better defined, is that you're going to see a difference, you're going to see a different set of standards. And I'm kind of used to that because I've come to from other places that do that every 5 to 8 years. It's just something that they do to refine what they're doing.
Yeah, but what's the consequence for us if we pulled out of those programs?
Well, the Smarter Balance.
State funding, federal funding?
Yes. Yes.
So we either jump up on their stick or they pull their funding. And they require we have certain equipment to comply with their laws, but they don't fund that. And see, I'm sorry to lead you down the path, but it's an unfunded mandate in my world. A real spendy one. And the goal is changing all the time. This year it's Common Core. 3 years from now, what's it going to be? What are the requirements for that? And the costs of it go up and up and up. I'm just like, I don't know. The tax burden is so heavy on the population. I know we got businesses that pay a goodly chunk, but our residents are starving, some of them. Sadness, but it is what it is.
That's why, along the way, we've made a lot of the cuts that we've made, but it's at a point now, with what you just pointed out, we made those cuts and to save money, but now it's basically, it's all here with the technology, and we've got to be functioning a lot better than what we have been functioning, because we've been sort of piecing it, and we were going through all the T1 lines. We started going in that path, and it's like, wait a minute, it's too expensive, we've got to have a budget here. So it's kind of like both things that we're all talking about.
The priorities, yep.
Exactly.
Which way it goes. Under the debt service and the merit increase, is that a general non-union package, or is that for
the debt service? The debt service will be a decrease. This is proposed for, you're talking about the first page?
Yep.
For current year 2004, from the changes from current year to next year, you'll see a decrease in debt service because some of our debt will be paid off. And then you'll see That merit pool is for non-union
Non-union.
members.
That's what I was
And it's a pool and awarded,
And it
not,
goes up,
doesn't-
it's up to,
like you'll see on line 3 where it says remaining merit increase for FY14, the 15,832, that was the portion that was not spent last year.
similar to what we do, but we cap it at 2.5, not 5. It's very similar to what we do. That was my question. Okay. Any more questions for Tammy or Mike?
I just wish I had more time to go to all your meetings, learn
to
the
call
intricacies
and do
of this, because I know that there's so much more and the nuances of it. I want to tell you both that I respect and admire your service to the community.
Thank you.
Certainly.
very
And I would
much.
like to make a statement to Mr. Raymond. When you first brought up the biofuel issue at the school board meeting, I stood up and was very skeptical of the whole arrangement. Not that I don't believe in biofuels, but that GM had just folded and gone under, and what are the guarantees that this company is going to do what they say they're going to do? And very suspicious. And I want to tell you that after having several years under our belts with this program, you were right, I was wrong. This has been everything you said it was, and then some, and I certainly appreciate your commitment to the schools as well.
Thank you very much.
All right. Do you have any questions for us, or?
Well, there's just one last thing. Mike had talked about a little bit that we're going through our strategic plan process, and we are going to have a strategic plan working session, and that we're inviting some parents and some community members and teachers and et cetera on January 4th, and we would love it if any of you would come and join us. It'll be half day, and it'll be facilitated by Bill Bryan, and
The high school?
yeah, at the high school. Well, no, we are looking this time, and I've got to confirm this, at Spalding.
Okay, it's Baldwin.
Yeah, it'll be at Spalding, and we would love to have you attend and give some input. Board members will be there as well, so that we can all work together on what
When
we
you send out the notice, if you'd send me a copy of
Absolutely.
it, that would be
January
wonderful.
4th, you said?
January 4th, it's a Saturday, and it'll be half a day, starting in the morning till lunchtime, and we'll provide lunch.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
It will probably more than likely start at 8. Those will be coming out here pretty soon,
Okay,
so I'll make sure
okay.
that you get that. We just selected the date. The board doesn't even know it. They got it in the board packet. They got it in the board packet, so.
And, I think the new strategic plan is going to be fantastic. It's the first time we've actually had a facilitated strategic plan. We've got a new mission, we've got a new vision, we've got core values identified. I think it's really going to be fantastic.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Try to attend if I can. That'd be great.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for your
Thank you
time.
both for coming.
Appreciate it.
I'm following the sun around.
I know, it's really something.
You know, trying to get
Okay.
the history
So it was nice.
Yes.
Nice-ish.
You didn't pick on mothers at all. I'm very proud of you.
No.
Yeah, Representative Raymond, you wanted to come up and speak with us for a couple minutes, right? That'd be great, yep.
So I should ask Catherine first if would you like to discuss the legislation that you'd asked me to look at, that we wanted to do?
Yeah, if you have some information, that'd be great.
That's why he's here, to give you information.
The,
Thank you, Wayne, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So Catherine had asked me to come and draft legislation regarding being a health inspector and the conflict that can create, because the law as it's written now doesn't allow you to be both on the select board and be on the Board of Health.
it's the Board of Health and this board.
Different from the health board here.
Well, the 48A, the housing codes allows the municipalities to create a committee by which, I mean, I'm inspecting apartment buildings as it is, at, no additional costs, and it takes a lot of time and whatnot. And I don't get to do all of them. I mean, I'm often walking into someone, my eyes just fall out, I'm like, oh my word. And then, of course, we get the fire district involved and, trying to get these buildings safe. Many of them don't have even smoke detectors in them. So the law as it's written now, to create it, the Board of Health, a member of the Board of Health should be on the committee, but elected officials such as selectmen can't. But in municipalities such as the town, the Board of Health is the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
So it was a contradiction that I thought should be cleared up.
And the way the law is written, it's basically to prevent a conflict of interest from occurring. So it was kind of tricky to write it in such a way that that would not come about. So the section B that's in bold, that's the new section that we're proposing. And so I wrote that up, and it would increase the board itself so that it would have at least 5 members, because if you had a board with 3 members and one of them is not allowed to vote because of the dual membership on the 2 governing bodies, it would create so that there wouldn't be enough, there wouldn't be a quorum or anybody to break a tie. So by increasing the board size and then allowing the person who serves on both the Select Board and the Board of Health to recuse themselves from being an appointing authority if they're acting as select person, or during the appeals process as a member of the Health Board. And so I presented this to the attorneys at the Office of Legislative Services, and they gave me back the draft with the exact wording that I had presented to them, so it doesn't appear that there's any legal issues with the way that we've drawn it up.
Except in paragraph A, it still says that selectmen shall be ineligible for membership on such board.
Thank you. I haven't even been paying attention to that.
So we would
That was
want
your intent.
I will.
and governing.
Don't say that, yep.
So just leave out that whole list,
Yep.
that one sentence.
When you go down to number C, the Housing Standards Enforcement Officer, that would be, correspond to code enforcement.
Pardon?
Health.
Section C,
Oh, I'm still,
Minimum Housing Standards Enforcement Officer. Does that correspond to the duties of code enforcement officer? Does housing...
minimum housing codes are health officer codes, 48A.
Okay.
So that would be the health officer. But if
And it
we,
goes on to say, never mind, okay, I get that part now. All right.
if we go back up to A, the next sentence, no person shall serve concurrently as a member of such board and as a member of the appointing authority, except as allowed below, except as allowed in B.
Actually, that was the reason we didn't need to remove that sentence from Section A, was because the town governing body would have the option of any of these.
Okay,
So
except that's a
if they
pretty,
were to choose A, they could have fewer members on their committee, but that would mean that a select person could not act in both jobs.
And B, if you have at least 5 members on your board.
Right.
Board of 3.
okay, because, well, usually it'll say or,
Yeah.
or, like after authority, it would say or.
It's clearer if it says or.
You're reading too much.
Because if we
Because-
chose 5 members, then a selectman could be on that board.
Right.
Yeah, so somewhere it needs to say that you have option A or B.
Right. It has to
It
be
gives it to
explained
you,
out
but
to,
it should say that. Typically, there's,
unless you just told us, we would not have read that from here,
Right.
what option we have. It says A, we're so used to reading these RSAs that say A, and then you go on to B. If A doesn't apply, you go on to B, and so you're not choosing, you're just saying, first, if it doesn't work, no, it's a no, period. But in this instance, what you want to do is A or B
so
is
you
an option.
leave in that sentence of selectmen, and then after authority, maybe put, I think it's, you should put or
Yeah.
in
Or B.
semicolon,
Yep.
Right.
or board.
So the very first under Roman numeral 1, that a public agency is established consisting of such one of the following as the governing body at its option. You don't feel that that's adequately covering that?
Might be.
I don't know.
Consisting of such one of the
Like
following.
consistency.
Yeah, it says one of the
I like the
following.
consistency, though.
Yeah. So if just at the end of line 10 there, under where it says appointing authority, or B, so you're giving them.
That's all it would take would be to say or be,
Yeah.
because then you have the consistency with the numeral 1,
Yeah.
A, and B.
So we actually should put or between each of the four
Yep.
choices.
Yes,
Yeah.
Right,
It's just, it's consistent with.
right, exactly.
If we were to choose C, does that mean that the health officer, the housing officer, is no longer report to the Board of Selectmen? Because it's his or her principal duty and responsibility.
No, they still report to us.
Right, it's their
We're still the Board of
responsibility
Health.
to do it.
A board consisting of at least 5 members, 2 of whom shall be the head of the municipal health department and the head of the municipal fire, if such office exists.
Or a minimum housing standards officer with no board. We can choose any one of these.
right.
Are you saying we can choose several options? One from column A, one from column C?
No,
No.
B describes us fully because we
B
can,
is what we are.
right, they still have to report under the health officer RSA, they still have to report to the selectmen.
Okay, this does not
We can ask
supersede
Catherine,
that.
no, under 48A, they still have to come to the, report to the selectmen.
Right. I think, and I'm relatively new to this too, I hadn't even looked at this until Catherine brought it up, but I think what C allows is that, that the first two options would allow somebody who is already on some other board within the town or city to act on the health board as well.
Right.
C would be a professional,
Right.
so they wouldn't
Paid
necessarily need a
individuals,
board.
such as we have now.
They would just report directly to, because they've
Right.
got the training to,
You can't take the employee out of the employee.
Okay.
Can't do it.
Okay.
That's, you're paying them to do
Just
that, they
checking,
have to
sometimes
report.
it's legal stuff.
Right.
That's why we pay those damn lawyers.
It's not that I want to, I just.
well, that's good, I'd rather you bring all
Are
this
you
stuff
a
now before I
lawyer,
have to go
Ian?
testify. Am I a lawyer? No.
Thank God. I was just gonna say, I would have to not like you anymore. Oh, I know, oh no, don't get me started. Those are the proficiency scores from the school.
Yeah.
Wah!
Yes. They're not good.
Okay, all right, moving on.
Yeah.
But
let's
this is just giving
Thanks,
us a choice, and we fit into B.
wind them up.
Yeah.
So when we would choose B. Maybe another town would choose another one, depending on how their government is set up. So,
Yep.
but look at it this way, it's like, well, that one didn't work, let's try A for a while.
Yeah, no, I just,
No reflection about anybody, I'm just saying.
great.
Do you know that 70 districts in this state? I mean, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know.
Okay.
Sorry about that, that was
What-
DCYS.
One of the questions that Joe had was, Joe, why don't you ask that again to Catherine? Because my understanding of C would be under your RSA health officer, they're still an employee of the town and they report to the Board of Selectmen.
Right,
That's right, and that's why I was hoping we could do this change, because I think the Board of Health should remain the Board of Health.
right.
And as I said to Ian, I said, I don't think any of us want to go out and have to create a whole nother board.
Right.
I mean, this board has already been doing the job for
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
So, yeah.
But I like this because depending on where you come from in a town, it does give you a choice.
Yep. This is perfect, Ian.
The way he's written B, it fits us to a T.
Oh my God, bowl me down, we have a representative that actually followed through on something we asked for.
I know, and
Bowl me over now.
this is going to be a huge help.
Yep.
Yeah.
Huge.
That's great.
Huge, huge, huge.
Be of help.
All right, that's wonderful.
So this is great that I have to submit it for any changes that need to be made before the 20th, so I'll get that in right
Great.
away. And then, did you say that you are willing to come down and testify as to the reasoning that we want to do this?
No.
You wouldn't?
I'm sorry. I just couldn't help it. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yes, you tell me whatever you need. Yes.
Okay. And when I go down next week, I'll work with some of the people on the municipal committee and see if I can't get them to act as sponsors as well.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Good to see you all.
Good
Have a
seeing
good
you.
day.
You,
All right, moving right along.
All right.
Couple of things that we need to take care of. The parent-teachers PTO elementary school that set up a table last year for Halloween is requesting to do the same. I didn't see a problem with that at all, because we had them there last year. This year, they would really like to have some music for downtown Halloween PTO.
scary music?
One of the husbands is a DJ, so they'd like to have some music along with it.
As long as they
Kind of
play
music.
Monster Mash.
Monster Mash, and, yeah. I think it would be fun with the music. We have an email from the town tax collector asking us, did everybody read this? Asking us to have a key to
Yep.
the room downstairs, Joyce's room, because apparently there are some rare occasions that she, when Joyce and Catherine are out, that door inadvertently gets locked, and they need a second egress.
Well, it doesn't inadvertently get locked.
Locked
It
on
is
purpose.
locked
Well,
because of the
why I said
employee.
inadvertently, why I said that the other day when I took over, or was it last week, was the Taste of the Trails?
Yes.
Joyce had to leave, so I stayed because Cindy was out, so that there would be two in the office with Kim, one with Kim. And the last words out of Cindy was, don't lock that door, please don't lock that door. And so I think it's an issue. I personally feel that we have employee records that have to be locked and safeguarded, and we also have files in there, legal, that's where all our files are in there. So am I in favor of giving out a key? I don't think so. Personally, I don't believe that. I think we should be able to be a little bit more diligent about
Making sure it's unlocked.
making sure it's unlocked. That's my opinion, only my
Say
opinion.
that
I'd like to
again?
hear from everybody else.
What about a panic button?
We have
They have one.
I mean, to that door. If they need, it's a panic button and it unlocks that door automatically. That way our records are still safeguarded and they have access to that door. A key, if somebody jumps over that counter, a key won't even do them any good.
well,
There's a
Really
panic
an
button.
issue.
the one thing that could be done, I mean, it's been this way for all these years. It hasn't been any different. I mean, but I guess it only takes the one bolt of lightning. The employee files, they're in locked cabinets, aren't they, Catherine?
But still, there's other thing that, in my office, that are for the selectmen's eyes only.
No, that's right, we have non-publics, we have,
I go to lunch, and stuff is
Yeah.
out, and no one belongs in there except Joyce, Tim, or the Board of Selectmen.
yeah.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with my distrusting by nature. That's just, those records need to be absolutely sacrosanct. Sacrosanct?
I think
You know
I'd
what I'm
rather
saying.
see us, I mean,
Sacrosanct.
if we're really concerned about the safety of the personnel in that front office, we will support the glass partition that's truly going to protect them.
I'm a little bit iffy on that even. But be that as it may, that's not what we're actually discussing here.
Right.
That's
Case of fire?
how, it doesn't matter if there's glass in the front or not.
Right.
They still have to get out.
Right. I mean, we do
You're
have,
in an office that has glass in the front, one door that way, and that door's locked.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting
it's
here
in the
thinking about Al and Gus sitting in their office with one door out.
right?
Johanna,
You know, Johanna and I up here. We
You
got,
have two doors.
we got,
Well, can you get out that door?
Yes.
yeah, I think the door will open
Well, you've got
out.
to walk over the
Got
stuff.
one door and no
There's
windows.
stuff in the stairwell, I think,
Nothing.
but,
yeah, being in that stairwell in case
That
of a
office is-
fire.
That office is worse off than their office.
But
Yeah.
you got a hammer.
Yeah, a lot more
I
than
mean,
him.
you know, they'd what, have to go through the wall? So,
No, you're right.
I don't know.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
If we're worried about safety of someone robbing them, then we need to worry about shutting both doors like it's supposed to be shut.
Right, and the
Because
glass,
To reach over this way, boop, I'm in.
and the glass partition.
Because they can actually walk past and they're thinking they're going back to see us. They can stop at the wall,
Yep.
open the door and go, whoop, right in.
But now with the frosted glass, nobody can see what they're doing.
No, but I mean,
No door on
well,
the side door.
like Al's saying,
Well, if
they
they have
leave the
frosted
top half
glass
of the
up in the
door
front.
open because they want the circulation, but that also, you just have to reach around and grab the doorknob and you're right in. It's not like it's locked to the
If I'm not
public.
mistaken, it was made a vote by the Board of Selectmen to shut both doors and leave them locked.
Yep.
Well, wasn't that a request not too long ago that the town clerk tax collector wanted the door shut? Wasn't there some request to that?
They're the ones that open it.
Yeah, they
Yes.
open it.
This has been going on for quite a few years.
Okay.
The request for a key to the door has
Yep.
been going on for as long as I can remember.
Okay,
But
so I,
sometimes they leave that outside door, the one that has, you could leave the top open,
yes,
that door is wide open.
Wide
They
open.
can walk it.
So I don't understand what the concern is.
So, and I don't know, it's an interesting situation.
I would, my gut in this would be to leave things as they are
Right.
now. That's my opinion. I don't, do we want to take a vote on it? What's the consensus? What do we want to do?
Well, I feel the same way. It's not that I think they're going to go in there and read everything and snoop. I don't think that.
No.
But it's just the idea that if it's open to them, it can be open to other people as well. And I really we don't need, nor do we want, other people readings, like our non-public correspondence and stuff like that. I mean, granted, most of it's probably,
If the information ever got out,
yeah,
from one of those documents, even if it had absolutely nothing to do with them downstairs, now they're suspect because they've got access.
yeah, but,
And quite frankly, they don't need that kind of hassle either. There's got to be some kind of a, I don't know why everybody's scared all of a sudden. I don't think anybody's ever tried to rob us yet, have they?
not
Or
that I'm
have they?
aware.
No, but they didn't think that in Colebrook either.
Not just
Exactly.
all over.
But they
Okay, so
both,
there's thieves with guns and drug addicts. That's not a brand-new phenomenon.
but I mean, they also do a good job by keeping excess money locked up.
Absolutely.
So that even if they were to break in, what are they going to get out of their office unless they cart that big safe off?
Good luck on that.
You know, they don't leave money out at night,
Be a blessing.
I know. Oh, I know.
so, you know,
And to have rolled down windows, I don't know, it just, for me, it sends the wrong message.
well, it would be no different than, you know, how would the front office feel if we wanted to pass through for, say, other people?
Me,
They wouldn't like that at all.
I need a doorway.
Well, no, they've specifically asked that we don't pass through there
Right, so, you know, and
because of sensitive materials.
well, what's
Oh,
the
yeah.
difference between
I
that
don't.
office and
I
ours?
respect that.
We have the same thing, so, you know, I would vote no.
I don't go in there unless I ask permission. There's information in there I got no concern with, and I understand exactly what she's saying, and I'm saying it right back.
Yeah. No,
Really?
well, that's like if I want to talk to her, I either go to the window, or if I'm in Joyce's office, I just
I'll
open
knock on the door
but-
and
yeah.
she'll turn around and we'll talk.
Right.
All right, so consensus is
No.
no. Joe?
I would say no, for sure.
Okay. All right, next question is, I'm also
No.
asking for
No.
key to the car again.
No!
Public.
No,
We took it away for a very specific reason.
it's there.
And she's
She
having
can go
a
and
hard
get it every
time
day.
complying. That's not my problem. The issue still remains. She drives away with the car without signing for it. Oh, I forgot the keys. That means she didn't sign for it either. So, and she's asking us to allow the same situation that happened before.
Well, then we also have an issue in addition to that, is that when people there are some people that take the vehicle, use the vehicle, and then come back and expect other people to fill it up. We also have that issue as well, and that's been done several times
Well, if you're only
in
going...
my presence.
If you're only going to the high school, or the police station, or something like that,
Fine.
why would you go and put 45 cents worth of gas in it? But to go to Manchester and back and not put gas in, that seems callous, yeah.
Who is responsible for putting gas in the car? Cindy will be using the car Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. She's going to a tax collectors conference in Conway.
It'd be her.
And she had asked me to check on the gas. So I called Dennis this morning, and, excuse me, he said when you went to Concord, was it Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
There was a full tank of gas, so she should be all set. So who is responsible to check and make sure she has enough gas to go to Conway?
Well, I've heard Joyce say many times to come in and let her know if the gas, was dropping, down below a half, and that she would make sure someone took it over and filled it up.
So,
Can anyone go over and fill the
Well,
car
I
up
should
with
say
gas?
our
They've got the
plan.
key.
because we
And
have
the keys in the
that
trunk, okay. Because I was going to say, I know I go over, I always have. My policy is if I've got the car and it's less than half.
Right.
Less than half, it's got to be close to 3/4, I'll stop and fill it up. If it's more than half, I don't fill it up because usually we're just punching around town.
Right.
So is there enough gas for her
But
to go to Conway?
She should go fill it up. If she goes to she's got enough to go to Conway Monday.
Okay.
And if she comes back and it needs gas, she should go fill it up.
Well, and oftentimes she doesn't tell us that there isn't any gas in the car. And
Right.
you've
A
been a
normal
witness to that,
person
Bob.
who drives a vehicle with a license, needs gas, they stop, fills it
The
up.
car and it needs gas, I'll go fill it up.
Now, is there any special code or anything that
Yeah,
people
they
have?
take the key and they go like
key.
this.
Just turn the key.
No, there's no
That's all
code.
there is.
Just a
For the
key, turn the
gas?
key.
Just turn the key?
You have key
That's it.
number 27 or whatever.
Okay.
You stick that in slot number 27, which is well marked, turned it on, the pump works.
Yeah.
Goes right to slot 27.
Okay.
Didn't used to, and sometimes it ran backwards, but now we're okay.
Well, I kind of like the idea that it would run backwards.
Isn't the code on the key? I mean, the number of the slot you
Yes.
stick it in is right on the
I
key.
Yeah, I
believe it's
think
C,
so.
I believe it's
Or on a
C2.
tag attached to the key.
Yeah, it's right there.
I believe it's C2.
And
I
the
thought you
keys down where the other
showed her
keys
how to
are?
do that.
The keys down where we keep the other keys?
It's
No,
right.
it's in the car.
It's in the car.
The car is always locked. The car is locked.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
in
It
the
better
car.
be locked. The gas key won't make any difference. It's got an anti-siphon device on it.
Yes, you get the gas key when you get the key to the
You get a
car.
mouthful of gas
Okay.
4 or 5 times and figure out you can't siphon it.
Do you really, or is it locked in the car?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, I
On
understand.
the key chain with
Yes.
the car.
Yes. So the
Okay.
key's always locked up in the office.
Right.
Okay.
So now, consensus, to me, if I'm reading this right, consensus is absolutely no.
Right,
Well, I would say if you're driving it, you're filling it.
right. No, I meant as far as giving her a key.
Oh, no, definitely not, no.
Well,
She goes right through that office anyway, or she can just sign up, take the key, and go out if nobody else has signed up.
Has she been signing out for the key?
Sometimes she signs up. A couple of times I saw her go out when I put her name down. because
Okay.
she forgot. And so I just put her name in.
All right, also, at the end of the day, after business hours, when Joyce leaves for the weekend, I cannot get the key. This usually happens on Fridays, and I have to take my car.
get the key before she goes.
I've been there on Fridays when she's taking the key and
I thought they'd go on lunchtime when, for the bank. All
They
right.
plan to go earlier, I mean,
Yeah.
that's planning.
All right.
Yeah.
So we will, consensus says no, no, and if you take the vehicle, you must be the one to fill it up. That's consensus.
I think if you're in the car and it needs gas, you need to put it in it.
Right.
Need to
Catherine,
pay it over
Before I
bill.
forget, will you sign me up for Thursday of the conference?
Thursday, what time? You'll be going in the morning?
All day.
Thursday all day?
Yeah, first thing.
Okay,
Okay.
the other thing
Thank
that
you.
I wanted to bring up was Mr. Sellers. I gave you a package, Mr. Sellers, I'm hoping I could do this justice. I do have a terrible headache. Mr. Sellers apparently wanted to go, or has put in a dredge and fill, and wanted it expedited, but felt under RSA 43-1 that there should be a public hearing with the Conservation Commission and their neglect in doing that. So Sandy and I both sat down with Chuck Mitchell and Kathy Mitchell, and there's a whole history. The first part of the package you have should be, if it begins with this, this is all Mr. Sellers' package. And if it begins with this is all what Chuck and Kathy Mitchell have given us via the Conservation Commission. The last one, this top piece here, was emailed to me just the other day. This is an afterthought after our meeting.
This was from Kathy Mitchell.
Okay. So I just would like, if you could, look at the material and look to see if we've done anything that should have done differently in the process as far as a public hearing for the sellers on this. It was an incomplete, the expedited dredge and fill was declared incomplete by DES, and the Conservation Commission either says yes or comments on it, but never does an approval of the dredge and fill. They just make comments. Fill me in if I'm wrong
You're
here.
right.
No, you're
Right.
absolutely right.
And they do, so what they did when this came back, they commented on a few things that it was not a complete dredge and fill application, and they sent it to
DES, I hope.
DES, and Mr. Sellers feels that under RSA 43-1, which says, on petition to the selectmen for the laying out or altering of highways or for laying out lands for any public use, and generally for the purpose of deciding any question affecting the conflicting rights or claims of different persons, their proceedings shall be governed by the following rules. And then if you look down at the RSA 43-2, it says, given to all persons of property made directly affected by the proceeding by giving to them or leaving at their abode an attested copy of the petition in order 14 days at least before such hearing. And the Conservation's ruling on this is there is no hearing because all we do is comment on a dredge and fill. And so he's looking for feedback from the selectmen before he goes further into his civil suit with another party.
Well, my understanding of the information was that although the Conservation Commission may have a public hearing, nowhere did I see a requirement that they do so.
Right.
If they do so, there's a
Correct.
certain procedure by law which
Right.
has to be followed. But it says may wish. It doesn't say that they gotta do it.
Right.
So if we could, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it tonight because it's unfair to you because there's a slew of documents that you really need to read. So if those are read, maybe we can put that on the agenda next week that we can talk about it. We have to reply. He's
Right.
expecting a reply from the Board of Selectmen. And by then Joyce will be back and we'll be able to get him an answer.
Well, the only thing I did see is, in all the correspondence back from the Conservation Commission, their main thing that, when they were writing to the DES, was not that they were condemning the projects, they had questions about it, and they wanted to do a site walk. I mean, that would indicate to me that there were genuine things that they wanted to learn the answers to before they gave an opinion one way or the other.
One way or another.
And I know from working with them for so many years through the planning board, I mean, they will suggest to the DES, if they have concerns about one thing or another, they'll ask a question about it. Now, whether the DES chooses to take that question and, use it in a negative or a positive way, that is not their doing, that's DES. So, I did read through this. I didn't find anything out of place as far as what they did, and the fact that it's very well documented. I mean, we have everything that they did with the DES and with conservation is well documented in this packet, so.
All right, so we'll put that on the agenda for next week. We have, make a motion to accept a donation of $350 from the Plymouth General Dentistry. This is for the Tilton Police Animal Chip Scanner.
Oh, second.
Animal chips?
Yeah.
It's the scanner that scans for microchips.
Ah,
It's what we had the fundraiser for on Saturday that no one showed up for.
I didn't even know.
Rescheduling it,
I didn't know. When is it gonna be, Jane?
November
Second?
2nd, I believe. I'll let you know though.
Okay.
Is that the pie one?
That's a pie.
There's another one down too?
They made a donation.
There's your pies.
Also, this is the letter that confirms our funding for the landfill closure grant request.
Right.
It's $112,642.49. This grant will be paid over 5 years, and the department has requested that the first check in the amount of $22,528.48 be sent to the town as soon as possible. Subsequent annual payments will be made in the month of July, so everybody knows that. We have a letter which, Catherine, do you have input on this one, or someone has input on it? We have a letter from Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. Dear Chief, as well as you are well aware, the Belknap County delegation level funded the Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid assessment at the fiscal year of 2012 amount. This created a deficit of $21,392.12. The Executive Committee met with the Belknap County Fire Chiefs, and the decision was made to bill the Belknap County communities directly for the balance of the assessment not collected by the county. The final assessment evaluation numbers and the corresponding percentage of allocation for each community for the 2013 budget has been provided by the county. This has allowed us to calculate the amount due from each community using the same apportionment as if the entire amount had been collected by the county. Unfortunately, the inequity in the assessment cannot be corrected until the 2014 budget. An invoice is included in the balance due from your community. The invoice was sent to you rather than to the Board of Selectmen in hopes that you may be able to provide explanation to them for this unexpected bill from the Lakes Region Mutual Fire Aid. Thank you for your assistance in the matter. The Executive Committee, Jim Hayes, Chief Coordinator.
Where did they send the bill?
They send it to Brad because he's our
Oh,
our representative.
Tim about it.
who's the bill made out to? Town of Tilton?
Town of Tilton.
Additional
$1,026.82.
And that's for what year?
This is county appropriations 2013.
So that's the balance of this year.
Right.
That's correct.
So does it behoove us to now go shopping for someone to dispatch our fire calls for us?
Is there a lot of fire dispatch companies in the area? Are
Well,
there any?
Belknap County Sheriff's at one point said that they would do it. I mean, the same situation we have with the police department.
What does that cost?
I have no idea, that's what I'm saying. Should we shop around? There are other agencies out there.
Maybe we should get a price if the sheriff's department would do it. And I got to tell you that if there's any change in service or problems whatsoever with that, they're not going to call Franklin to come and help us, or, I mean, they'll call us, but the level of service to the community has to be equal or better. It really does. This is public safety. I mean, I don't want to pay extra, and I'm a little uptight about this subject. I think we're getting the wrong end of the baseball bat, but public safety has got to come first, I think.
I agree, but I think it's worth looking into.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Then we should at least look.
We have
If
at
they
least
could
the
come
end
up
of
with
this
something
year,
If they're the
we're
only-
covered, and then see what we-
Relatively quick.
Yep.
I'd
I
like to
believe
not
the
leave it hanging.
PD is
Belknap
our own
County.
dispatch in Belknap County, correct?
Right, we share it after 4.
After 4. So maybe that's a possibility.
All right?
And we would dispatch ourselves here in town through the police department? Is that what you're...
Emergency calls. Emergency calls are already handled by the PD. So,
Does someone want to take on the responsibility of getting someone in to talk to us about it and see what it would cost, if it would be cost effective, or if it's prudent on our end to explore it further?
I don't know anybody. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin making phone calls, tell you the God's honest truth.
I'll start it. I'll just go talk to the chief.
Okay.
All right. We have a packet from Lake Region Partnership for Public Health. This is the 2013 Regional Health Data Report. It's a product of the collaborative efforts of multiple community partners working together to conduct a comprehensive community health assessment for the Lakes region. Now, it is a coincidence, but the Lakes Region Partnership for Health, which services a lot of agencies, a lot of towns, have asked for November's, their annual meeting, a monthly meeting, to utilize the senior center for an hour and a half in the afternoon on like a Wednesday, so we said yes. It's more centralized to the towns that are coming.
If anybody hasn't read the figures on the drug and alcohol use in this area, our county, Merrimack County, and the underage drug and alcohol use in those counties, it's enlightening reading. It really is.
There's some brochure, everybody want one of these, and you can take this? They've left us quite a few here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but it looks like I've got that one already.
Wow.
It's interesting.
Okay, and I believe, other than everybody has November 25th as Kim Calais,
Yeah.
other than,
Yeah, there you go.
Are we responding individually, or Are you responding for
Would
us?
like me to, would like to, would like to go.
Yeah, I'll go. I think it's very sad we're losing Kim, but very happy for him.
Yes.
So it's 3, Kathleen, Kathleen.
I will say yes, but I don't know yet. That may change.
DES permit, that looks like,
What is it, the DES?
one paper trail.
Oh, that's, yeah, that's, thank you. This,
And are we going to respond to the lowering of the speed limit on Route 3, New Hampshire? Do you want,
Do we have to technically respond, having voiced our concerns in person?
Yes, because
Yes,
we didn't
they
voice
said
it.
they told us to go
Paper
back.
trail.
We didn't voice it to the right department.
Well, they told us we had to go to Bill.
Lambert.
Let's do
Commissioner
it.
Clements said we had to
Yes.
go to Bill.
Yeah, let's, need a motion for that?
No.
No,
Okay.
but we will ask,
Will you keep it in our agenda?
next week,
For next week.
put it on our, thank you, I was trying to spit those words out. Okay, the senior center leak is being fixed as we speak. He was up there this afternoon, and he will be working on it on Saturday.
Is he going to kill the mold that was created from it? Somebody needs to.
Yeah.
He's cutting it out.
He's gonna cut the whole thing out of it.
Supposed to take it, the
He's
whole
going to
thing.
remove all the mold that he can see.
That's good.
Okay,
Yeah, take the whole sheet rock right out.
okay.
And the,
Insulation, it's supposed to rectify the problem. He understands that, right? Okay.
Yes, he crawled all up in there.
Excellent. 'Cause I'm supposed to teach a cooking class down there, but I can't do it if the mold's still there, knowing that there's mold in the building, even if it was there before. I'm just so allergic to some of those molds.
it's temporarily out of order with the signs on there, so
Yeah.
in that, other,
You had a question? Did you write it down?
Chief, is there any future plans to, I know when we talked about the polygraph equipment that we purchased and putting Nate through school, that we could offset it by charging, not central communities that we border, but other communities for that. Is there any plans in the future to do that, or is it more what you're using now as a mutual aid?
Yeah, I mean, right now, he's pretty much predominantly doing criminal, except for our hiring stuff, but I can ask him to come in and talk about it. I don't know how much of that he'll get.
Well, what other towns are coming in and asking for that service from you? Any?
Just kind of not outside the Lakes region, but he does get, sometimes we'll do one for Laconia, but then sometimes he'll do one for us,
Okay,
because
so it's a mutual,
it's a mutual thing.
okay, got it.
He's not spending an inordinate amount of time doing this, is he?
Oh, no, just with we're doing it with all our criminal stuff.
Is that a common practice amongst police departments, or can we set a fee scale for rent a guy? And is that what the normal custom is between the police departments? How does that work?
I mean, typically, there's not a lot of it, so it's, we help you, you help us kind of thing, and
I don't want to make your
I don't
life
think
difficult.
he's not
but-
getting a lot of agencies from around the state coming in for pre-employment stuff, or, I think you could see it if fire departments go that route. There was talk they were going to,
Well, if
then.
we had to do outside pre-employment things, there should be a fee schedule for
Right.
that. For a police department in Laconia, Belmont, Northfield, whatever, they need a polygraph, I can understand that.
Right.
So, but currently, if there were a change in procedures where municipal officials, whether it's teachers or fire department or any of those agencies needed pre-employment polygraph screening, there would be no, you guys wouldn't do it, or you wouldn't charge them, or?
I mean, if it was an agency that we deal with in the Lakes region all the time, we would help them out.
The school
Vice
district.
versa, they would help
How about the
us.
school district?
I don't know that we've done any. I mean,
This is hypothetical.
yeah, I want to have them come back to help with some of the questions. I don't see a lot of people coming into the station from outside this area looking for stuff outside of criminal.
Questions came up, I just wondered what that would mean in your world.
We just got been tied up at the station, we just arrested the chocolate.
Chocolate boy?
Okay.
He ate the evidence.
Thank God for saving the chocolate.
Yes.
I was
Appreciate that.
concerned, I was starting to perspire.
That was my first question. Did anybody,
I will tell you.
did anybody get hurt, and how much chocolate did they take?
I was the cashier.
You know, I think they said she was in shock during it, and then it set in afterwards. That's when it hit her.
That really hit her.
And then she started to have trouble after that, and
She able to be back to work?
I think they're going to try and get her some counseling if she needs it, but I think she will come back, it sounds like.
It was a pretty frightening
She's pretty
experience.
Pretty shooken up. So he's at our station right now. No, I take that back. He just got transferred to Belknap County Jail.
Good. All right, okay, so I think that's all we have to, last minute FYIs and stuff, so.
We have 5 and 6. Public
Yep.
input and reports from
That's what I
selectmen.
was starting next. I was going to turn to Sandy and see what she had.
Well, as the board knows, I've been going to the committee that is looking at what can be done with Route 3 between here and Laconia to maybe cut down a little on the traffic or at least make it safer. And we've had our second meeting, and a lot more was introduced. Our next meeting will be next week, which will be the final meeting, and we'll be going over the draft. So I hope I have something to bring to the board. I should have, so that you can see the draft of what we've come up with. I'm also on the Hazard Mitigation Plan Committee, and we've only had one meeting. We'll have another meeting on November 1st, and the purpose of that is to update. We had one hazardous plan, and we're updating that. That was done in 2008, and we're just adding all the new facilities that came in after that, and any changes that might be needed or that can be used to our advantage during cases of some kind of an emergency, whether it's natural or man-made. So that's kind of where the committees stand.
Catherine?
I don't know how many of you know, we had an anomaly that occurred with a warrant article from 2008 having to do with the police detail revolving fund. In our reports, this is a page from it, a sentence was left out that meant that the only thing the monies could be used for was the special police detail and not for general equipment purposes. I emailed Shelley Galano at DRS and sent her a very detailed email, and she wrote me back and basically said, what are you talking about? Mine includes it. She sent it back, and sure enough, the official copy that was sent to DRS was correct. I mean, DRA. The only copy that is wrong is our annual report.
Right.
The town's clerk copy that she keeps in the safe is correct. The one that she has in her computer is correct. So the anomaly is, what we printed in the annual report was incorrect.
Nobody caught it. That was the problem, right? Nobody just caught it.
Well, this was submitted to us by the town clerk.
Right.
This is basically, her minutes of the town meeting.
So the town clerk made a mistake
don't know.
transcribing it to us, is that what you're saying?
It's an anomaly. I don't know. No one seems to have the answer. I was just letting you know that we have been correctly spending the monies, except for the lack of public hearings, in the detail fund.
Okay,
So we don't have to do anything. If you looked at your minutes, Joyce was suggesting a warrant article to correct that, but we don't need to do it.
Right.
okay.
Park commissioners met Monday night. And the Christmas event this year was going to be a lighted event, hopefully a lighted parade. We're making arrangements to light the trees along Main Street. And it was brought up that in the past, the island has been lit up. There was a Christmas tree on the gazebo and Christmas lights, and the park commissioners were wondering if the selectmen would consider doing that this year.
Lighting the parks?
Lighting the island.
Oh, the island. That would be pretty, wouldn't it?
Yep, there used to be a Christmas tree, lights on the gazebo, and I believe there were lights across the bridge itself.
The only thing, though, is, as far as our parade, we don't really go by the island at all.
No, but it's really for,
Oh, just
The
people
season.
driving by.
And are we lighting up Vicky Street?
well, there'll be lights on Vicky Street.
Why, what was the history behind stopping it from the lights being on the island? Was it money, or was it?
I think it was just
Lack of doing it?
lack of doing it. I think, because it belongs to both towns,
Right.
it just was probably in our past negotiations,
Right.
we didn't pick it up. So it's not, it would really something that would be collaborative. If we were going to consider doing it, we would notify Northfield Selectmen saying that, would you like to participate?
Right.
Then we'd have to make the decision if they chose not to, would we do it on our own?
Right.
And would they mind if we do it on our own? But I think really that was more of the problem.
Got it. Okay.
When the time comes, can we get colored lights instead of all of those white lights? I love the like blue and red and green thing going on. If it's all those, like, it looks like little stars in the trees or whatever. That's not the same. I like colors. Just saying.
So it's something we should decide in the next couple of weeks to do.
Okay.
The other thing is, when somebody comes in to change property information, we have this card, it's called a property information change card. I'm sorry I didn't make copies of it. So when they come in to change their information, we don't require any kind of identification, supporting evidence that the information they're giving us is correct. So, for example, anybody could walk in here and say, I want to change the property information for 416 Laconia Road. They don't have to provide any kind of identification, and that's my property. And they could do that. The reason I bring it up is because we have a lot of rental units where the landlords are out of state and some out of the country. And trying to get a hold of the property manager can be very difficult. One property in particular, here's 2 property change cards, and this top one, it used to just say Beth, and I went in and said, so who is this person that was able to do this, to change this information on this card? And Gus added the last name. The bottom one, again, it's source, it says Matt. Well, who's Matt? Well, this person that they changed this name from to is the person who gave the information. Now, this
So you're saying
person,
Best also is Matt?
no,
2 different cards.
I'm just saying that from here to here, there was a change,
Oh, I see.
and there's no last names, and this person added his name and the source. So now if you look at the property tax card for this property, it shows the owner as this individual. Well, it's not the owner.
Well, I think
Okay.
okay?
Maybe she didn't know what to do. I used to, when they'd fill out these cards and they'd hand them to me, I would say, "Are you this individual that signed?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "May I see some form of identification?" I would verify that and then I would go to the card and I would, my little card file I had in there and pull the thing out and I said, "Well, it doesn't say that you're the owner of the property." So we had a system,
So should we be requiring that?
I would
Is there-
require that
Sure.
if anyone comes in to change this information, because see, here's the tax card, and it says the owner, well, it's the individual that made the change, and like I said, he's not the owner.
Right.
So you're saying
So
we're
I'm
not doing
saying,
it?
I come in, and I'm going to change some information,
Yeah.
I should provide some identification.
Yes.
Yes.
That should be photocopied,
Yep.
attached to this.
Yes.
And then more so than that is, okay, you're not listed as an owner of this property. Where's your authorization
Right.
from the owner to change any information on this property?
I used to do
So
that
then
all
you
the
have to
time.
decide if they come in and they have a letter from the owner, how do we know it's from the owner?
Right.
So, I mean, it should be a lot more difficult to change property information on
Well, in
tax
theory, I
cards.
could go in and make changes on Catherine's tax card and put her house in my name,
That's right,
and they won't even check my ID.
that's right.
In
That's
theory.
what happened here. Well, that's exactly what happened. This person is listed as the owner of this property, and
he's
they're not.
Right.
And where did that incident take place? Land
Which-
use?
Correct.
Town clerk?
Land use.
Yeah.
But all she was doing is following the protocol that had been shown to her.
So then can we motion that a new policy be,
I think we probably ought to come up with one and then implement
and then
it.
motion
Give it
it?
to
Okay.
them. Right.
I'm just saying, it made it very difficult trying to contact the owner. I finally got a hold of Al.
Have you corrected the issue in land use yet?
I had a conversation with her and, explained to her what the difficulty I had and that, certainly somebody shouldn't be able to come in and list themselves as owner on our tax cards. It's very confusing.
Maybe she
And
did.
she completely agreed, but she said, yeah, as I said, that was the method that she had been shown, and that's what she had been doing.
Right.
So, as I say, we need to just implement a different procedure, and she will be more than delighted to follow it.
Can we add that, Catherine, add that as well as the island, light the island at Christmas for next week? Thanks.
And that's it.
That's it?
Well, except I picked up more trash today.
Somebody asked me how that was, who was?
I'm really
oh,
hating Page's Row.
You must be.
Well, if you'd
might
like to
discuss it.
deputize me on trash days, Catherine, I'll go and help you.
Oh, no, it's fine. I just, it's just,
Well, then stop your sniveling.
it's just,
I'm willing to help if it
You have to
becomes,
deputize it.
I may take you up on that.
hey,
Why would you have to
anytime, if you won't
I
need
wouldn't.
me, you call
He's
me.
a selectman, he's a
You're a
member of the board.
selectman, you're-
You're a member of the Board of Health.
Right, you remember the
Well,
Board of
then,
Health.
just give me a call when it happens, I'll help.
I will.
I'm not trying to shirk my responsibility here because due to me and my big mouth that's got you into this, I'm certainly willing to help.
All right. Al, do you have anything?
I'm good this week.
You're good this week. Joe, do you have anything?
I have some, couple of things. A gentleman called me, and quite frankly, I can't remember his name, but he's from the Cedar Street neighborhood, over in that district, wondering about what the parking is going to look like for the winter months. We're only a few weeks potentially away from this being an issue. I haven't gotten in touch with him yet. I just got the call this morning because I didn't know what to tell him. So what am I going to tell him?
Same thing as last year, I would say.
Chestnut too, that's what it was.
The whole area.
What was it?
Yep.
Chestnut,
Maybe it was chestnut, not
We never
cedar.
came
but
up with a
one of the
conclusion
trees.
for that.
No, we never finished it.
We never
No.
finished it.
No, we talked
I've
about
gone
it.
through there, and I could only find one house
Right.
that didn't have a driveway.
but they had
But
parking.
they have
They have
further
parking.
down.
They have parking.
Yes.
Fact is that you can't park on the street because of emergency services
Right.
when they get big snowbanks.
Right.
Just can't, and I feel for them, I really
I
do.
really, I find that it's There's cars for each resident on, space in their driveways for each resident.
Right.
If they, the problem comes if they have like a birthday party for their son or something, there's no place for anyone to park even in a few hours. And they park on the side of the street. Well,
But
in the
people all
winter,
over town have that.
no, but the difference is,
They
Catherine,
park on
on
your
Cedar
field,
Street,
my
they have a
lawn,
painted
you know.
sidewalk. In other areas of town, they don't park on the sidewalk. People are, we got calls last year, remember? They couldn't walk on the sidewalk because cars were parking on it.
And the kids couldn't
School
walk on the...
Street. They park on the sidewalk. I had to walk in the road the other day because 2 cars were on the sidewalk. Lockman has the same
The
issue.
question was a decision made?
No decision was made.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, from last year? Yeah.
We never
I think
concluded it.
right, because we...
We were going to get
said
more input.
We were going
And
to
this
get more
is the,
input from the
should
families.
should we have some kind of time specified for the residents if they so desire? I'll let this guy know it's coming, a week, 2 weeks. Come on in if you
Come on in and-
want to discuss it. Otherwise, it's the same as it was last year.
When is the snow affect, the snow policy, November 15th?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have time to have input from the residents. We had input from the residents last year, but
We
that's
did.
not going to solve the issue, because the issue is, once we get the input from the residents, we have to act on it.
Right.
It's either going to be one way or another. We're either going to do this or we're going to do that, one way or the other.
And we've already done something, a forum for them to express their concerns, and maybe nobody shows up. I've seen that at public hearings, but I would like to, I've heard from only one guy.
This
I'm gonna
issue,
tell him and see
people
what
showed
happens.
up. Yeah,
We had 3 or 4 different plans, if you will, for it.
right.
One-ways,
Right.
parking on one side of the street, not the other.
Speed bumps.
Yeah, we had a lot of different issues. So maybe we should go through the minutes of that meeting
Yeah.
and take it up next week.
Okay, well, I will call back the gentleman and tell him where we stand right now. The MetroCast contract is approximately 13 weeks from being in effect,
Okay.
except for we don't have one. Not yet, not completed with our information. Who's working on it? Should I be working on it? Are you guys reading it, and have you got input? We got 13 weeks, please think about it. Nothing will happen tonight,
Okay.
but we
You
got, this
wanna
is
vote from
common.
us.
We already voted. We voted to
What is it, the input that you want from us?
oh, we need to have things like, on the appendixes, we have to have the listing of the drops, the VoIP language.
Yep.
Is that good for us, and where are those going to go? The provision for connecting the police department and public works and town hall. There's various things, and the contract that in our possession, or that I sent out to you, primarily was written with Guilford's information.
Right.
Their addresses and that kind of stuff.
So we need to update it for Tilton.
We need to update it for Tilton, decide if, and is there something, Pat, you've got a lot more technological information running around in your head with regards to fiber optics and voice over internet and those kind of things, and those are covered in there on some levels. So it's coming, and
Well-
after we get it in our language, then we all have to go over it, and do we have objections? Just because this is a boilerplate and it works for Guilford doesn't mean it works for us with regards to coverage and new build-outs and requirements for that, and 5 in a mile, or is it 10 in 2 miles, or, for, that makes requirements for them to build out their lines.
Next week, we have a public hearing that we have to do, so why don't we say in a couple, oh, that's Halloween. Are we meeting on Halloween night?
I would think.
Trick or treat night in Tilton, Chief.
The Thursday the 31st, but 25th downtown, Friday night.
So Thursday, I don't care one way or another, it doesn't matter to me.
Should we have plenty of candy in case we get trick-or-treaters? No? Okay then. Moving on.
No, but I'm saying, you want to address it on the 31st, the
Yeah.
MetroCast?
That is typical.
We should begin to address it, concerns and whatever, otherwise, and who's actually making the changes in that contract? Should I be making them? Should Tim be making them? Nobody else has really, looked at it or whatever, and I'm good with the boilerplate, but I don't know all the addresses.
I've read it over, but I haven't really thoroughly absorbed it, so.
It's a long thing. It's based on other communities. It's based on the concerns of the 12-member consortium. We negotiated with these people pretty hard, which doesn't mean that there isn't room for negotiations with regard, like, the educational grant or the technology grant. In Tilton, they weren't going to agree to, they agreed to what they agreed to for the boilerplate, but there's going to be some kind of negotiations between us and MetroCast. There'll have to be a sit-down face-to-face. And then you have to ask yourself, do you want to have a lawyer come and look at this after we're done, and does this work best for us, and how do we want to change it, and what does that look like?
Sounds like we should get moving on it.
I'm telling you, and Kate Miller is probably the one. She was a consortium lawyer from Donahue, Tucker, and Chiandella. She's familiar with this contract, and she helped write it, and that's her area of expertise.
You promoting a lawyer?
Oh, God. I hate myself now, just for consorting with lawyers. Well, this particular lawyer is the one that I would suggest for this. I still hate her. Sorry, Kate. The UST, we voted on an amount, a fixed amount for the UST variance due to the gas tanks running backwards and whatever. Apparently, there's an adjustment to that for the variance. Every year, at the end of the year, there's a variance. No matter what you do, there's a variance. And I'm not talking about faulty machinery or whatever. It's a variance within industry standards due to the rise and fall of gasoline, due to heat, humidity, and cold.
How much is that variance costing us, Joe?
I think the variance is like 0.5%, split through all five according to the usage. It's not that much, but there's going to be an official billing, all right, for the faulty pumps, the amount we voted on, and the variance with an explanation of the variance, the corrected numbers, and the invoice will be sent out. So whatever we voted on last time, I don't think we've actually written any checks. And if we have, we can just apply that to whatever it is that our invoice actually is. But that's coming. I wanted you to know that. With regard to the underground storage tank, I received some very interesting information here. I talked with the committee of which I am chair, talked about replace the tank, the fees we collect, the 5 cents, 2 cents, whatever it is, and depending on what we get, the liability insurance, the problems with the pumps, the replacement of the pumps. Those pumps are ancient technology-wise. It's only a matter of time before the state changes the rules, and now we're no longer in compliance. It's coming. We just had a $1,400 bill or something. I forget the exact total, but we had to upgrade a certain piece of our equipment because of the DES. We have no choice. Now, what is the alternative to that? Well, it turns out that some municipalities, not unlike Samerton, just as a for instance, has a deal with one of our local Exit 20 gas stations to fleet buy their gasoline. And they pay significantly less than pump prices because they get contract prices just the way we do. Only they don't have to have a tank, they don't have to have insurance, they don't have to have liability if the damn thing leaks. They don't, a major spill, that's right on the edge of the wetlands. So, I haven't talked to anybody, it's brand new stuff, but it's like, oh, you could save as much as 15% on your cost and dump your liability altogether. We don't have to maintain anything. We wouldn't need a fuel surcharge to close the tank because, well, we'd still have to research what actually closing out that tank looks like now in dollars and cents. And we're working on that next. But the potential for each individual in our town to have, well, not in our town, but in the town fleet, police, whatever, to have a card. You'd have a card with a number. You would get the card with the number. You could go to, let's just say, call it Cumberland Farms, although that's not it. You go to Cumberland Farms, you pay for your gasoline, and voila, you're done, and it's all on your statement. Which card, which person, and not necessarily the car. Because let's say I have a card. I could drive the town car and fill it, and it would show on my card. But then maybe I'm going to drive Dennis's truck, and I fill it. I still use my card, but it wouldn't necessarily have anything to do with the car that I was driving. But you would have how much gas usage according to the card. And quarterly reports about gas usage, and you'd know exactly what Detective Dawson used for gas for each of the months in the last 6 months. Ta-da, at your fingertips, on your, I mean, which we're not even close to. For less money than we pay now, potentially, but I'll keep you apprised of that. And I happened to notice that the Samerton Department of Public Works is potentially going to hire a private company, or they're going to privatize, I should say Samerton is going to privatize the Department of Public Works, or at least they're exploring that as an option.
I read that.
I don't know why I missed that part, if it was in the information that I received, but I just thought that was interesting and how that might affect our relationship with that entity in their reciprocating agreements. We've gone out, we do things together, and we use the grader, and they use the bucket and the truck, and we help each other. And I just thought that that might have an impact for us further down the road. That said, I'll shut up.
That's it?
That's it for now. Those are the pressing things. So, there you go. That's it.
We have minutes.
Public?
Oh, public input.
Nope, seeing none. Well, he's not even shy, he's gonna come right up and sit down.
Oh, please.
Because you'll tell me to otherwise. Good
True.
evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Just Ducky. I got a few questions. First on my list of questions, the paving project on Tryon, Rescue, and Center Street.
Yep.
What was the split in cost between the town of Tilton and the Tilton Northfield Water Company?
I don't think there was it wasn't a
Split.
shared project.
It wasn't a shared project.
They did their work and we did ours.
They did their, right.
But they didn't pave.
No.
Why were they given an opportunity to do work ahead of a paving project, and me being an entity totally in the town was never asked? I was told about a week before the project I had to pay to raise or lower a manhole, at which case I sent you that memorandum of understanding. It's like, what's going on in town?
Well, I think we replied to that as that you wouldn't have to do that it was an oversight on our part, and that $350 or whatever it was, you wouldn't need to do that.
No, but the question is,
Go ahead.
is why wasn't our sewer department told of the road project well in advance of it? So if the town sewer department needed to make repairs, they would have had the same opportunity that the water district, which isn't part of town, did.
I think that that's a really valid concern. How come we don't try to coordinate with various entities, sewer, water, electric, whatever?
That's the question.
Generally,
That's a good question.
You know, generally it
Follow it
is,
up.
but I'm not saying it was in this case, but
Well, to
generally.
follow it up, why on the Silver Lake Road project did I have to pay half the paving cost if it was a road project? If you remember, the paving was split between sewer and water because we were working jointly. Here you have a joint water paving project, but you don't split the paving.
Do we know that for a fact?
That project was never conceived in any conversation or piece of documentation that I saw to be a joint project on any level.
Oh, we knew it was a joint
Center
project.
Street, and I knew that the water company was doing some stuff while we had the pavement dug up, but we were going to do that anyway.
But that's the point. Why didn't we notify the sewer department?
That's what I said.
They could have
It's
the
a
same
valid concern.
advantage
I
of the
don't
water
know.
district.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
but
either.
His next question was, why were they being charged to pay half the paving on Silver Lake if these guys weren't charged half the paving over here on South?
All good questions.
I can't address that. I was not a part of the Silver Lake situation. This one here, if you'd have been notified properly and had a project, there wouldn't have been any cost to you either. Unless you wanted, you'd have to pay to dig it up or do your work, but we'd have paved it because we were going to pave it anyway.
No, that's not the question being asked. The second question, again, is why aren't they being charged half the paving cost?
On Silver Lake Road, not on...
No.
No, same over here.
Same over here.
When we had the Silver Lake Road project, it was a joint project, and most of the things we did pretty well. So we paid half, we paid half. If, we could get something done within the state, and they didn't have to. I mean, we worked together to the most advantageous situation for the taxpayers. In this situation, we did not. And to answer the question, shame on us, the Board of Selectmen. We should have more input on the planning of our municipal projects, especially when it comes to roads and sidewalks, than we do. That's
It
the
should be
answer.
standard procedure, I think. If we're going to reclaim an area, anybody with stuff underneath that area should be notified.
Well, we have a
Surprised you
10-year
weren't.
plan of what roads are going to be done and how they're going to
Yeah.
be done. I mean, we have that.
And we should probably send that to you so that if you don't have a copy, so that you can look at it and does any of this affect us?
But before these projects are done, the Board of Selectmen should sit down and talk with either Public Works Director or whoever is doing them in town, even the sewer department, so that we're all working together on these
What
projects.
would you have done differently in the sewer department had we notified you earlier?
We could have looked to see the line. My big thing is I have to pay when I work with you, but the water company gets a free ride. That's not fair.
Yeah.
They should be paying part of the paving. Why is the town subsidizing the water district?
We're not.
You are.
Yes, we did. We did not, we allowed them to go in and do their work. If we were not doing any paving on Tryon, that was not scheduled, they would have come in, done their work, and then they would have paid to repave.
Right.
But we contacted them, let them know we were doing this, so that they came in, and they did not have to pay any part of the paving.
Who's we?
We know that for a fact.
Do we
Who's
know
we
that
the
for a fact?
contact?
The town of Tilton.
I thought that was all derived from Mr. Panullo adding water to the line, and
No.
then they corrected the line
No.
going to the fire station.
No, Mr. Panilla's project hasn't even begun.
In the parking lot part?
No. He's only gathering, I know, because I gave him a list of contractors in the area.
Then why was he working with the water company on Tryon Lane to do the water
He's not.
drainage and...
He is communicating with him on what his needs will be,
Right,
but he was not part of that project.
right. The only thing that ever came out of that is Dennis had told him, if you're going to do it, this is when we're paving. So, if you want to put that line in instead of tearing up new pavement once it was done.
So there's a second entity we gave that opportunity to, but we neglected to give it to the sewer commission.
Well, that's wrong. That's just, I'm not saying that your information is wrong. The concept of not informing the sewer department is
Follow
wrong.
up to it on point two, so.
And like I say, that was a bad decision over here on Tryon in that neighborhood, but like I say, I can't address, and I'm one of the people who've helped pay for that over there through my betterment in the sewer. So I didn't realize, quite frankly, at the time that it was done like that. I wasn't involved. But
Well, we
I,
agreed because we were digging up the road, we'd split the cost of paving. It's the right thing to do. I could have argued and said we weren't going to tear up the whole road, we'd tear up one side, unless we were doing a lateral, but we said, no, we'll pay full width, half the cost.
I'll be honest, I didn't even get that thought over here. Honestly, I didn't, I just,
but by not informing them,
Right.
we did away with the chance that they could have said, oh yeah, we were going to do that anyway, because we didn't.
Save some taxpayers some
oh, he
money.
would've
Right.
brought the- he
Can we
would've brought
set
the
something
argument
in
that-
place that anytime we do a significant town of Tilton public works that might interfere with any of that kind of stuff, that the notice be sent out as soon as the decision is made? Seems only fair.
What was your other input that you had? You said you have a
Quick
follow-up.
Well, I'm, as I said years ago, I'm the ugly stepchild. It's come to the Sewer Commission's attention. The planning board approved Aspen Dental to go in up next to Pizza Hut.
Yep.
Told them they were all set. They have an amalgam separator.
Oh shit.
Amalgam is a heavy metal.
It's mercury.
Yes. For
A derivative.
Yeah. That requires a permit from the treatment plant, not only ours, but above. They were told they needed nothing.
Really?
Years ago, I came and complained. Supposedly, we created a checkoff sheet where sewer was supposed to be on it. They never came to us.
It was on it, it just inadvertently didn't get mentioned.
So what about the amalgam
So,
separator? What
fortunately-
happens?
Well, fortunately, Johanna caught him, so now here's the situation.
Bravo.
We've got to hold a special meeting to meet their timeline. So I'm of the mind to bill the planning board the cost of the meeting. Because for their oversight, they've created a major problem, because they've also put the line in without any approval.
I called and asked them if they'd done anything with sewer, and they told me no. They told me they'd get back to me, and they never got back to me. Well, I called them last week.
Sure.
But they haven't got back to me yet this week.
Yeah. Since we've got hold of them, benchmark's been forthcoming.
So they did put the sewer line in.
That's the word I've got.
I saw him digging it.
No, I thought they were digging electrical when I first saw them, which is what they were doing.
So they put a sewer line in without your permission,
A tie-in.
a tie-in, without your permission.
And without the required separator.
They were led to believe from planning board that they were all set, they needed no further approvals.
Yeah.
Neither here or there, when I called and asked them though, and I said, I need to know if you've been talking to the sewer department to be hooked up to the sewer. And they told me, I will get back to you after I had the discussion with the higher ups. And they still haven't called me. So,
I don't know if they've stopped only because Johanna had stopped by and got the ball rolling on that end or not. Because they're trying to set up meetings ASAP.
So that space that says sewer on the planning documents, that'll be paid more attention to, or?
Oh, yes, well, I told her, she's putting a note right on the application on, where they need to contact regarding any new site plan. And there's water, sewer, the fire, a whole list right there.
But the agreement the planning board made when I was on it, and that was years ago,
Yeah.
was that any submissions to the land use office, especially commercial submissions
Yep.
for site plan, will automatically go to the sewer department. Not that they will contact the sewer department,
Right.
but the land use office will send it off. We've received an application for Aspen Dental or whatever. And then that way the sewer department knows, number one, if a new entity is coming into
Right.
an old property, that there's going to be a name change. Number two, Delta Dental. So we're not second guessing. We're not trying to figure out, do they need to contact sewer or don't they? Are they going to contact sewer or aren't they? It automatically goes from land use when the application comes in, a copy goes to sewer.
Well, it was part of my thing, every one that came in, I just called her, and I said, I have an application from, at such and such address, are they on town sewer? Do they need to come forward? And she would look, and sometimes she'd say yes, and I'd send them upstairs to get their applications and set up things with her. Or if she said, no, there's no sewer there, then they were all set, but that way I knew too.
Well, all I know is that's what the planning board agreed to do, and that's what should never have stopped.
Should be done. I didn't.
And the other issue would be is if they weren't on municipal sewer with the amalgam, they'd have to do something.
Right.
Now, where would you put on your application about amalgam, or do you know that just because they're a dentist's office?
Because it's a dentist and that's what they use.
Yeah. Well, I know they use it, but that whole separator thing never even occurred to me.
And
So now do they have to tear it up and put in a,
Well, we have to,
They have to get approvals.
submit an application to Franklin.
The treatment plant.
Yes, and what we normally do on those type applications, we do a conditional approval. We'll approve it conditional upon the treatment plant's approval because they have the expertise to say you need the amalgam separator or whatever else. Most of us are lay people, so as long as the plans look close enough, we give it the conditional. They have to go on to Franklin anyways, and that's what covers us. The planning board might do a conditional that they get all necessary permits, water, sewer, fire. I don't know if that would help out.
So your thoughts are you want to charge the planning board?
Well, we're incurring an expense that's not our fault.
for our meeting?
Yes, it's a public meeting.
Public hearing, you mean?
It's a public hearing.
Right.
So
It's a public hearing, not just a meeting with the three commissioners.
So what's the expense?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
What expense would you incur? Advertising?
Advertising, commissioners, additional time.
And commissioners are paid by the hour?
When we're doing outside the monthly meetings, yes.
You are?
Yeah. That's providing we submit the time.
Man, I wish we could do that.
I'm only $1,000. Unlike my counterparts in the water that I hear are $3,500.
I thought they were
You
more.
guys need a raise.
Well, apparently they get what they pay for, huh?
I don't know.
Or not.
Or not.
If they're
Well,
higher than us.
I think the big question here is what are we going to implement to make sure this doesn't take place? I think the original agreement of the planning board, really, it's a no-brainer. They're automatically sent up to sewer,
Right.
Done.
done.
If it's not being done now,
Done.
it should be done
Do a memo or
instantly.
something where you got a paper trail, and that way you can say,
Yeah.
well, we sent it up to Johanna.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
right.
Initial sign off, yes, required, no, not.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think the other, the selectmen, the project we had over there, when it was first presented to us, it was ready to go forward, and there were so many unanswered questions. How long was it going to take? When we first heard about it, it was going to be a couple of days, turned out to be 4 days. Are you going to barricade half the street, the whole street? We need to have more hands-on. We need to have a policy in place, and again, a sign-off when we do these things, that we do the courtesy of at least noticing our own department and then those of other districts. That, this is going to take place. We're letting you know it's going to take place in approximately such and such a date, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, especially with the paving thing.
Yeah.
That just seems silly
Well, it
that
never
you
occurred to me
weren't.
that they should be paying half the pavement. And that never occurred to me, seriously didn't.
Just going to save our taxpayers' monies if we do it.
Commissioner Fogg, you feel disrespected in the sewer department, and I can understand how you could feel that way. Was not intentional. However, at this point, for my part, I'm going to do what I can do to make sure it does not happen again, because it costs our taxpayers extra. If you've got to dig up Tryon anyway in 6 months, then it was an absolutely horrendous blunder on our part not to have let the sewer department know. It's a waste of taxpayer funds. Sewer users are taxpayers and deserve better treatment. We'll see what we can do. No disrespect intended.
Where it's going to be important is any downtown work. That's our oldest part of the system.
I'd like to get Main
And
Street done.
we want to do replacements. We're trying to hold off so we can keep the user rates where they're at, not have to raise them. So we do little projects when we can. This year's big project, and cost-wise it's big. You won't think so when you see what it is. The Mill Street Pump Station, which I believe was our first pump station when the Interceptor went in.
Replacement?
Huh?
Replacement?
It's a 30-year-old system. It's an air-driven system. AAA Pumps out of Manchester, who handles our pumps, says it's one of two of those style pumps left that they know of. There may be others in the state, okay?
So it's going from there to a museum, right?
Well, it's reaching the point, they sort of is looking to buy stock in AAA Pump. They're coming up a couple times a month to that station.
So it costs us more to fix it.
It covers Bell Peabody and then Mill Street. We're gonna, what you have is this chamber, you go down about 30 feet, you've got two air-driven pumps, a compressor, controls. We're gonna go down, rip everything out. That'll become the new wet well. We'll put in twin, I think they're 4.8 horse grinding type pumps. Cost of that project, $64,000. So when you ask pump station cost, most of the excavation, the shell of it's all there. This is all component part.
With regard to the Winnipesaukee River Basin project, I've heard various reports about the amount of upgrades that are needed along the course of the entire system. Part of that system, of course, going through Tilton, and part of those upgrades taking place in Tilton. There is a cost to Tilton. What do you anticipate that cost to be, and how are we going to provide for it?
Currently, I think we are looking pretty because we pay 5% of their operating budget, based back in 1982 when they first set up. Laconia is at like 55%. They pay the lion's share. They keep talking of trying to set up meters along the way to get a more accurate flow.
How can you do that?
I think what they may try to do now, instead of meters, they may be tying it into the actual pumps in the system.
How often they
Based on
run?
How often they run.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. That would
calculate
make
volumes
sense.
that way and come up with percentages. With all the projects we've done since the early 90s in Tilton compared to Northfield's done nothing really. Sanford's done nothing. Belmont's done some. I see our percentage probably going to increase. A year or two ago, they had in the paper, they were projecting for the next 10 years, 80 to 100 million in upgrades. Of course, when they gave you those numbers, that was the Cadillac systems, which the first one was the ultraviolet light disinfection that went through. Meredith tried to stop it, but it was already, I think, had been put out to bid. And my feeling was that one, we were too late to catch it. But the 10 towns have banded together, and we're making more noise so that we'll have a greater share. It won't be DES saying, this is the project we're doing, here's the cost, there's your cost for each town. We're going to, I think, have a say. When they say, here's our plan, we're going to say, well, what are the alternatives to this one? We're going to want to look like an A, B, and C.
Now, we're still talking about $5 million-ish as our share, if not more?
Well, 5 or more, yeah.
Where does that money come from? That general tax bonds? Sewer bonds?
No, that would be the user fees. What they
Get out of town. How is the users going to pay $5 million? Over 100 years?
$5 million over 30 years.
And I guess we're going to spread that town-wide, aren't we?
No, it depends how well they bill, how they bill it.
I mean,
Well, I suppose we could do
all
like-
the,
we could do
all
like
the sewer
Northfield.
users are gonna pay for
We
it.
could do like Northfield and get the selectmen to pay for 30 years, and then they say, no, you're not paying this bill, and then it hasn't been paid for 2 years, and the lawyers will be making money, because
Ooh,
we get a O&M charge quarterly, which is basically for the treatment. There's an administrative to run the plant, and then they have their capital improvement, which they have severely underfunded over the last 30 years.
That's why we owe a $80 million bill coming up.
All of those charges have always been spread out to the users.
Well, it kind of makes sense, but their lack of maintenance, or their deferring the maintenance and it's only going to get more expensive.
Well, they're starting to realize that, and they're starting to increase that some. With our increase in rates last year, we're sitting okay.
So you're putting money away toward that end.
Yeah.
Not lots of money. I know it's not enough to pay,
We're-
certainly, but,
We're around a $500,000 in reserves.
well, I mean, realistically, we're talking about this like we can pull out of it. But where are we going to put our sewage? What, in the lakes, in the river?
Yeah.
No.
And so, the other thing we're looking to do, we're planning for next year, is looking on the west end of town, basically from the high school to the town line, and as an alternate, going up Caleb Hill to see what the cost is, and go all the way up to, Clark Road all the way up to Caleb Hill.
Well, there's talk about digging up that road, all right? So Clark and Caleb Hill.
well, that wouldn't be until
No, it's not next year, but it's coming.
Okay, well, if they do that, that may be beneficial, because...
It's coming.
Listening to fellow Commissioner Wadley, he says Clark Road is full of ledge.
Yes, it
So is
is.
Caleb Hill.
Well, Caleb Hill, we've got sewer for the first, like, 4 houses on the new 4 houses that Tom Gallant put up, and I forget how many on the other side. It's a private line running through the backyard, through 4 to 6 houses, with a willow tree about halfway down.
Well, if you go end to end, you're going to encounter lots of ledge on that, the
It'll
side
be
of
Clark
that hill.
Road that we extend on. The rest of Caleb Hill, I think, has become...
Plessner Drive?
But it would, potentially, we'd be going up past your place all the way up to the intersection. We're at least going to investigate what the cost is. If there's going to be a road project where we can share costs, since ledge excavation is substantially higher than regular digging, it may make it more feasible.
This new pump station, what was your estimated cost?
The cost for the one at Mill Street is just over $64,000. It's not an estimate, it is the cost.
Is that the pumps, or is that the installation as well?
The pumps and installation, we got a little bit of concrete pad out front, and then we'll have some time, additional costs with probably Rowells for a pump truck. There'll be times when they're working, we're gonna have to have a pump truck there, pumping.
So we can do this less for $100,000?
Well, because we're not doing any major excavation. If you say a brand-new pump station, a good estimate is $100,000.
You're gonna have to have it engineered, or because it's existing, just replace the pump?
We're just doing it out of our own, if it was a project with rural development funding, we'd have to go through,
Yeah.
which is what we would look at on the West Main Street end. So what may happen is that, instead of doing it as one project, we may do West Main Street first and hold off on Clark until DOT comes in, and do that as a, if that's feasible, then do that one.
We're looking at them doing Clark, Colby, Winter, and Calif in consecutive years.
They're
Grouping them.
booked out
They're
to
booked out to the 19th.
19.
So this is
Well,
going to be...
you're on the 10-year plan, right?
No,
Not yet.
Oh, not
we're
yet?
not actually on the list.
We're getting
Is
there.
exit 19 still on the plan?
It is.
Different pocket.
Yeah, but is it still 10 years out?
Always,
I was just
Every
thinking,
year, yeah.
really?
always.
Well, the intersection at Clark Road and Route 3 was on the 10-year plan for 26 years.
But how nice is it now? I remember how it used to be. It's totally nice now.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
no
there have been
question.
so many things on the 10-year plan, that east-west alternate route from Franklin to Did it go all the way to Laconia or just Belmont? You know, coming down through exit 19 was on it until what, 2007? Then it just kind of disappeared.
No, it's come to my attention that DOT is not properly funded to take care of the roads in this state. They just don't have the funds on hand.
Well, and when you use gas funds for bike paths and other
Right.
things like
That's
that.
a function of the legislature,
Right.
you know, and it's a legislative problem. It's not a DOT problem.
And when you-
They're the ones who get the heat, but
And when you had
legislature says no.
Well, when you had your stimulus money a few years ago, where did it go? Paving, what's that last? A few years?
They paved the highways.
That's it, yeah, right. You know, to me, they should be trying to bank some of the bridge projects. How many red listed bridges are there?
I don't know, 80-something?
That was a lot of them.
There's an inordinate amount.
Yeah, get those, that's where any of that money should be going.
They can't touch the bridges that they've got right now that are crumbling with the money that they get. Never mind pave the roads.
Well, when was the last time the gas tax went up?
Well, it didn't go up this past year, House Bill 617. There was a motion to table, and it's still lurking in somebody's drawer right now.
What, 20 years?
But instead of 12 cents, it's full, the new one is going to be 4 or 5 cents.
Which is totally inadequate. 12 cents wouldn't have made us even for like 15 years.
Right.
And they're gonna go 4 cents instead. So 45 years from now, we should have all the roads in it.
There you go.
Those guys down there don't represent me. All right, I know it's a representative government, but by and large, they're not representing my interest. The people that I see around me, the constituents I talk to, your road. Well, actually, your road's a perfectly bad example of that, because that's on us, isn't it?
It's our road.
Right at the Mansville Road, right at the end.
140
How long did it
state
take us
bridges
to
on the
get them to come in and do the right thing?
140 state bridges on the red list.
Red list. Yep.
And we had no control over that. The state does what the state wants to do.
Well, Catherine, am I gonna get my tone back?
I asked them to drop it off at Town Hall. It's funny, I haven't seen it.
I called Bill Clemens.
Public Works Department picked up a cone on Manville when we had that
We
storm.
had that when I pulled the
Catherine,
top out of the way.
will you
so the
call
traffic
Public
could
Works
get in
tomorrow and
out.
ask them to bring the sewer commissioner's cone to Town Hall? They picked it up off of Manville Road when we had that big blowdown. Thank you. Maybe she'll have better luck.
Yes, because Johanna's getting vibes that she's not to expect much from that end of town. In terms of cooperation. Just an FYI.
Why?
From whom?
Really?
Really?
From whom?
Yes.
Yes.
His first two don't count.
Oh, would you really do that to her?
Well, the reason is probably because of me. We're like oil and water.
So you mean we have to put you in a blender?
We may have to.
A nice light vinaigrette.
There you go.
I think that ends up almost mayonnaise, doesn't it?
It could.
In a
If you
blender.
put an egg yolk in there, it would solidify.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for your input.
Yep.
We will try to remedy
And
those.
thank you for your undercompensated service to the town.
Any other questions on sewer projects, whatever?
My
Not
grinder's
yet.
working like a champ, buddy.
There you go. Yeah. When we get a chance, we want to get back into downtown, but when we have money.
Right.
Well, when you do, let me know, because I would love to see all of those power lines and whatnot buried underneath the street.
I'm
So,
only digging a trench wide enough to put a sewer pipe in, that's not you.
so when you need to do that,
Yeah.
I'd like to pull together everything I can
Okay.
and get it all done at once.
You know how we're doing it right now?
You're not doing it right
Now
now.
I get a call from Tilton School, the line's backed up. We called Kenny Partridge. We're up there 10 o'clock at night digging.
Well, we do what we can with the resources that we have.
We hold our
I
breath and
understand.
hope we don't have a major.
Downtown, our next project is School Street from about the admissions office down to Academy.
When I say downtown, I'm thinking more of Main Street.
You should have been there for the water pipe and the lead supply lines
Find it, break.
And have decorative land.
that come off of it,
So, yeah.
that they buried up, and are still there.
Outstanding.
I will, although I don't know if we want to deal with it, right?
Well, we'll probably have to take over the maintenance of the road. Those wires preclude safe and effective rescues of people on Main Street in case of fire in those upper floor apartments. How do you get a ladder truck to traverse? I don't think we have that equipment. The chief was
I have a
concerned.
solution for you.
Let him jump?
No, get a hold of Asplin Tree Service. They're bucket trucks,
Yep,
70 feet reach.
yeah.
I've had one in my yard, come up, go over the power lines, come back down the other side. He parked in the road and we dropped 3 trees. And he was down.
I know they can do it, but we don't have that equipment in the fire department, and bite your tongue if you're gonna suggest that next, okay?
It's probably cheaper than the Quint was.
Actually, it's probably an app that goes on the Quid, right?
Just what we needed.
Just get a little mark lift or something.
Chairman Falk, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, Peter.
Good night.
Night.
Peter.
Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have the minutes of,
10:15 past.
Now, let's not gloss
10:15.
over this whole issue here, because this is obviously causing some people problems. It's going to be more expensive. Are we going to actually work on instituting a procedure through land use or planning or whatever?
thought that was already decided on.
Okay, then I was unclear that we had something moving forward, whammo.
No, we will, we do
Okay.
and we will.
Okay, because I certainly, I don't necessarily agree with Mr. Fogg's tone all the time, but his point was extremely well taken.
I'll make a motion to bring the minutes of October 15th, 2013 to the floor for discussion and ultimate approval.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. It's very short, quick. It was a 5-minute meeting. All right,
I abstain.
Let's go see Catherine.
all right. And I've already spoken with, about the senior center, so it looks like the agenda is completely covered.
Yep.
You made a motion for the minutes.
Yes.
Did you make a motion to approve?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as
Oh,
written.
she said an ultimate approval.
Okay.
Okay then.
Okay, I
Right.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yep.
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 Are we signing back that deed?
Oh, that's in the thing to be signed, isn't it?
Where is the to-be-signed folder?
I've got it. It
Oh,
was with the rest of the stuff.
oh, yeah, we gotta sign that.
Is there a party for, oh, can we get the tape?
Oh, yeah. We got you.
Too late. Is that?